Teams are out there, we're getting ready for kick-off. When Jordan, always unmissable, but tomorrow's is extra unmissable. Two boxers who genuinely dislike each other will be face-to-face in the studio. Jack Catterall and Josh Taylor. Taylor won a couple of years ago. Catterall felt robbed. Their anger towards each other is not fake or phony. The rematch is April. It could get very, very heated, and that's before you throw Simon Jordan into the mix. Do not miss that, 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. Talksport. Now, the top of the Premier League's also getting heated. City's game in hand tonight. They go second behind Liverpool if they win, but Brentford have won here before. Talksport is with this tense, tight and tantalising title race all the way. Man City against Brentford, live and exclusive, and it's not on your telly in the UK. It's free here on Talksport with former England captain Stuart Pearce alongside your commentator Sam Matterface.
Thank you, Adrian. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Etihad Stadium. There is a few empty seats inside this stadium once again, as Adrian has already said, because of the issues with timing, transport, rain tonight. But it is a shame that at the BAFTA Awards this weekend they didn't have a category for pantomime villain, because there would have been no doubt that Brentford's Neil Maupay would have been nominated, and probably the bookies' favourite to win it, really, Stu. Well, we've been robbed of him too tonight on the bench, so no rekindling of his psychodrama with Walker. And we are also denied a virtuoso performance from Kevin De Bruyne, always a worthy candidate for any award that's doing the rounds. City rolled out the red carpet for Brentford last November, but this season they can't afford to. Manchester City need to win just to go second tonight. On Saturday night, Guardiola's leading man fluffed his lines, and he wouldn't smile for the camera afterwards. He wasn't happy, swatting away the lens that was trained on him after 9 shots, an XG of 1.71 and a 0 goals tally. Don't expect a sequel full of mishaps from Haaland tonight. 2 weeks ago, Brentford were outshone by City, comprehensively beaten with Phil Foden centre stage. And whoever takes the spotlight tonight, expect it to be someone in light blue attire. Team news, both sides make 3 changes from the weekend disappointments. There's a return for Stones at the heart of the defence. Bernardo Silva comes in for City, and a first Premier League start for Oscar Bob. For Brentford, nuisance Neil Maupay drops out, Visa starts, Jorgensen comes in for record signing Nathan Collins, and Onyeka comes into midfield for Jensen. Kevin De Bruyne watching from the bench. Referee tonight, Darren England. VAR, Michael Salisbury. Tomorrow, Luton go to Liverpool, looking to follow up their draw at the Kenny with the Reds. Live and only on Talksport, as is this. Also tonight, Cardiff, Blackburn, Ipswich, Rotherham, Plymouth, West Brom, Southampton, Hull, all from the Championship. Games in League One, League Two, the Champions League and the EFL Trophy semi-final between Blackpool and Peterborough. But we're concentrating on matters Premier League tonight. Manchester City light blue shirts, white shorts, light blue socks, attacking the goal away to our left. Brentford in red and white stripes, getting it off and underway, attacking the goal away to our left. And after what you saw on Saturday, Stuart, surely Brentford can't keep Manchester City out tonight, can they?
If they defend like they did Saturday, no chance whatsoever. But the plus is they certainly showed some talent going forward, I thought, Brentford, and were unfortunate not to break the deadlock before Liverpool, I thought.
Manchester City have the ball in the hands of Edison away to our left-hand side, and he thrusts it out to Manuel Akanji, who was not quite criticised by Pep Guardiola, but rather unprompted in his press conference yesterday, pointed out that as of yet he hasn't really reached his rhythm after being out for a couple of weeks with injury. Now he's playing at left back tonight, an unfamiliar role, and that's an unfamiliar moment for Mark Flecken. The ball was sent back to him wide of the goal. He had to scurry to stop it from going out for a corner, and he scooped it out to the far touchline. Oscar Bob making his first Premier League start. Plays the ball towards the edge of the D, and it's collected by Rodri, who scored the equaliser and wasn't very happy with the referee in Saturday night's game with Chelsea, which finished 1-1. They have it far touchline. Bob back into Akanji, and Akanji slides it to Ruben Diaz. Diaz takes a couple of steps forward, walking pace now, as Brentford back off him, and the ball is worked out wide to Bob again. And Akanji takes over. It'll be interesting to see how Manchester City approach this game, bearing in mind their rivals in the title race were full of goals at the weekend and they struggled with them, which is uncharacteristic. Akanji out to Bernardo Silva, who's crossed into the area, is headed away by Yanal, edge of the box, and Brentford are camped inside their own territory in the early moments here, Stuart Pearce.
I'm just looking at Manchester City's lineup. They certainly are, as you would expect from Brentford, dropping off into that 5-3-2 defensive lineup. But Manchester City, I'm quite surprised to see Foden on the right-hand side and Oscar Bob on the left-hand side. But they're almost matched up when you look. They're in possession here. They'll go almost three at the back, City, and then from there they'll match up wing-backs, I think, with Walker on one side and Oscar Bob the other.
Haaland shrugs away Reguilon, who looked to escape and then tries to charge towards the edge of the box, gets his first shot on target in the game inside the first 3 minutes by running up to the edge of the box and larruping it towards goal. He wasn't going to allow Reguilon to get away there. He was trying to run it clear from the left fullback position. He used his brute strength but couldn't do much to test the reflexes of Mark Flecken. 0-0.
Yeah, just looking at City's press from the goal kick. Walker's engaging Reguilon on this side and Oscar Bob on the other side, Ruislav. So, yeah, I think they're near enough matching each other up formation-wise.
Well, it is pretty much what Manchester City do, isn't it, now? They tend to either have 4 or 3 central defenders in that back line that can swing round and become a back 3 so that they can use Walker as that wing-back and just commit more members forward. Sometimes one of those members of the back line will step into midfield. Here is Foden, very much playing on the right in the last few weeks, plays it out to Walker. He's engaged by Reguilon, who knocks him to the floor, but he gets back up to feed Foden once again, who scored a hat-trick down at Brentford a couple of weeks ago. Nudges it to Rodri to the left, out to Akanji, who comes back in on his right foot and then didn't play it forward, went square to Stones, who's 5 yards back from the edge of the area. Everybody camped inside the Brentford penalty area in red and white, and as the ball goes into the box, a little deflection off Reguilon takes it into the air, and it's an easy catch for Mark Flecken away to our right hand side. Manchester City 0, Brentford 0, live on Talksport tonight, and this game was originally penciled in for December the 23rd but was swiftly postponed due to Manchester City's involvement in the Club World Cup, which they won for the first time in their history after a final victory over Fluminense. And that was part of an 11-game winning run that came to an end at the weekend. And it's how you react to it, isn't it, to those little setbacks that defines your destiny.
Yeah, it certainly is, especially when you see the likes of Liverpool and Arsenal winning on the same sort of weekend. And when you look at the game potentially, when it was first due to be played just before Christmas, might have been an easier encounter for Manchester City. Now Tony's back, they look a better proposition, that is for sure.
5 minutes played on a damp night in Manchester. The rain has relented. It didn't stop when we were walking up to the stadium. I ended up walking into the ground with two-tone trousers, dark brown at the bottom thanks to them being wet, and light at the top. What are you looking at me like that for?
I wanted to see where that wet patch was.
Here's Akanji down the left-hand side, moving towards the left edge of the area, exchanges passes with Bob, gets it back to Silva. Bob then tries to trick his way past Ruislav, gets to the byline, then has to turn again. Still got hold of the ball rather elegantly, finds Akanji, and he moves it infield to Rodri. Rodri engaged by Visa. They're all camped again on the edge of the box here, Brentford. It's so tight in the low block, which they're trying to break down methodically here, Manchester City. Akanji plays it square. Rodri, Bob, Akanji. It's been worked out over on that far side to Bernardo Silva, and then Rodri has it once again. He looks up, Visa goes towards him, but Rodri just waits, runs to his left, holds onto the ball, finds Alvarez, Haaland, back to Alvarez again, Jinx to his left, he's inside the area, he's engaged by 3 red and white jerseys, they smuggle it behind, and it goes out for a corner kick for Manchester City, 0-0.
I've got to say, when people turn up, and as Aid mentioned earlier before the game, when De Bruyne's not playing, people are disappointed. For me, it's Bernardo Silva. I get really disappointed when he doesn't play, because I think he's arguably the best in the Premier League.
Well, he's in the team tonight, and he's such a versatile player, isn't he? Bernardo Silva will play anywhere. As the corner comes in towards the near post, Flecken stabs it clear, comes back to Foden, who cracks it goalwards. It's blocked on the edge of the 6-yard box by one of the defenders. There was a huge blob of them on the 6-yard line as Foden recycles it, sends across to the back post. It's headed into the air by Jorgensen and caught by Flecken, who comes to grab it at its highest point and will take it out towards the perimeter of his penalty area. But they caused a bit of chaos from that set piece.
They certainly did. Flecken it was. He come over bodies, to be fair to him, and done well, got a fist on it. But the strike from Foden was magnificent, and Ben Mee done extremely well there. Just stood strong, stood tall, and just chested it away.
Big night for Ben Mee tonight. Grew up in the Manchester City Academy. He was the captain of the Youth Cup winning team in 2008. Conceded a few chances last week against Liverpool, but he was certainly keen to be on the team sheet, I think, today here.
Yeah, he's been a super professional. I've got to say, I was fortunate enough to be here at the club when Ben was coming through the academy setup, and obviously with the under-21s as well. He's been a great acquisition for the club.
Here is Alvarez for Manchester City. Back to Stones and then Alvarez. All this taking part again in the middle of the Brentford half. Outside the box is Foden, who turns, swivels, hits the ball towards the far corner, and Flecken was interested, went down to his left and just dropped rather slowly to his left and grabbed the ball left-handed and poured it into his chest. It was a routine save. 8 minutes gone, City 0, Brentford 0. You're listening to Talksport with Now, and don't forget that with Now you can stream all the Sky Sports action contract free with a Now membership. Search Now Sports. A ball at the feet of Stones, who travels towards the perimeter of the Brentford box. It's swung in towards Haaland from deep by Bernardo Silva, but his header is high and loopy and towards the back edge of the goal, and it goes behind and away for a goal kick. What do you think about him on Saturday? Got a little bit stroppy, didn't he? That camera that went up to him right at the end of the game, saw filming, and he knocked it out of the way, as in to say, don't look at me.
I think when you operate at the levels that he operates at, you get so frustrated with yourself that if A, your team haven't won, and secondly, you haven't hit the net where you feel as though you've had opportunities to do so.
Talksport 2 later on, by the way, brings you Blackpool against Peterborough in the the EFL Trophy semi-final. The winner gets to go to Wembley, and we'll keep you updated here with that. Blackpool against Peterborough. Here comes Aya coming forward from the back, sends a cross into the box on the right-hand side of the penalty area. Visa keeps it alive. Onyeka is in there too. Visa's still trying to fight for it, and Onyeka thrusts himself forward. Janelt is there, tussling for the ball. They haven't got it clear here, Manchester City. It's a right old scrap inside the box, and eventually they get it out to the midpoint of their own half. But it's with Roeslav still. Brentford have the chance to come forward. Goalless on Talksport. 10 minutes played. Fired in towards Onyeka. Goes back to, oh dear, Jorgensen, Dordord, and Onyeka has to put the afterburners on, and then he gets into a bit of a tangle in front of the penalty area over on the far side, and Aya eventually will get it back to his goalkeeper.
Yeah, scrappy passage of play by both teams there. Certainly, firstly, Aya with his galloping run set up an attack and a wonderful cross into the box.
I didn't know that Frank the Tank was so fast across the ground, though. Here is Ivan Toney, played in by Roeslav, gets towards the edge of the area, feeds Visser in behind, and the sweeping clearance comes from John Stones, and then Reguilon from a very tight angle tried an ambitious effort and went well wide. But John Stones with a vital intervention after Ivan Toney just dropped off and went into the number 10 position, picked the ball up. Visser spun off the defender and went in behind Stones, and he had to react quickly, and he swept his right leg around Visser's body and skewered the ball out to the far side.
Yeah, it was a super ball, bisecting both central defenders, and Stones done extremely well, as you said.
It remains 0-0, 11 minutes gone. John Stones going to be vital not only for Manchester City in the running, but for England too. I spoke to him the other week, and we were in the tunnel actually downstairs, and he was looking at our radio equipment, and he went, oh, who's on the decks? And we said to him, well, if you were on the decks, what would you play? And he just went, without even hesitation, 80s. I love 80s music. He said, anytime I get the opportunity to put any music on, I'm immersed in the 80s.
Wow, weren't expecting that.
There you go. There's a feature for the summer, I reckon, in the build-up to the tournament. John Stones does the 80s. Could be a Virgin Radio show. Here he is, Stones, moving down the right-hand side, out towards the near touchline. Walker back into Stones. And then Alvarez just spins off and tries to receive the ball 10 yards from the right edge of the area. He finds Foden, whose movement is rather balanced and his chest puffed out in front of him as the ball is sent out to Walker. It ricochets to the edge of the box and Tony will get it up to Norgard, and then Reguilon will clip it into the air and Tony will lose out to Stones. Rodri picks it up, centre of the Brentford half, pokes it through to Alvarez. Alvarez looking to try and hit it, decides not to do that, gives it to Walker instead. He slides it to the edge of the box, misses his intended target. Norgard gets it away and Tony can hold it up midway inside his own territory, and Brentford will look to try and bring it clear. 13 minutes on the big scoreboard away to our right, and it's Manchester City 0, Brentford 0.
Well, I've got to say, Tony and Visser are going to be absolutely vital in holding this ball up when it comes clear. Brentford defending very, very deep. And I'm going to make a statement here, Sam, that you and Aidan...
Tony's been playing in behind and he's trying to charge down towards the edge of the box. Edison's come out and they didn't take too much trouble in smacking that high into the evening sky. It's headed back as far as Silva, who's taken the ball past Norgard with ridiculous ease. He's played it out towards the left and then given it to Oscar Bob. Bob now on the left angle of the penalty area. Finds it to Bernardo Silva, who runs into Roeslav, and then they're just slowed in their attempt to attack. And Akanji will take it down the left side and move it towards the edge of the area. More space for Bernardo Silva. Silva on the edge of the area. Now Bob back down the left to Akanji. Further on into Phil Foden, who darts towards the byline. He gets it back to Silva. Silva far side. It's all very crowded and congested inside that 18-yard box, and there's no room for manoeuvre and no quarter given or asked. It's a cross into the box which eludes Haaland and goes past Walker and goes out to a throw. You teased us there. What is this stat that you wanted to tell me in aid?
I'm going to tell you this. If Man City win the league this year, they'd have earned it more than Liverpool and Arsenal, because of what the opposition do when they come here. Everybody offers Manchester City more respect than probably any other team in the league, I think, especially coming here. You see how teams bank up and make it so difficult for them, more so than other teams, I think.
But isn't that because of the respect they've built up over a number of years? You would arguably say that Liverpool is a newly constructed team this year, or newly finessed team this year, and Arsenal in the second year of really being proper contenders.
Yeah, for a multitude of reasons, for what the opposition have done and for what Manchester City have done. But I'm just saying, it's so difficult. People think it's easy. You know, Man City are just going to turn up and knock Brentford over. They're odds on to win the game. It's not that easy, the game.
Well, if they do have a bit of a problem tonight, obviously they can just call Kevin De Bruyne off their bench.
That helps.
He's sitting there down there tonight, having a little bit of a rest. I bet he's not happy about that, actually. He had 5 months out with a hamstring injury, though, so they've got to be a little bit careful with him, haven't they?
Yeah, they have, with the multitude of games that are coming up. They come thick and fast. They've got Champions League, but as you rightly said, you know, people like De Bruyne, they want to play every week. And I'll tell you what, this high line, we're right level with it with Man City, and we saw against Chelsea putting the ball in behind the back line in the last game, and certainly if they're not careful, Manchester City, as we nearly saw it then before Edison raced off his line and dealt with a problem, any balls over the top, this is a very high line from Manchester City.
Well, Brentford have lost 8 of their last 10 Premier League games, but that probably doesn't tell you the full story. There's certainly been spells in matches where Brentford have competed with the best, and you even said there's much on Saturday. Remember that Nunez goal, and they lost concentration towards the end, didn't have conviction in some other key moments, and then those games have turned away from them. They're defending here, and Janelt has intercepted Bernardo Silva's pass to the edge of the area. It's come back through to Jorgensen, and he's played it into Norgard, and he finds Roeslav, who clips it upfield. It's over the head of Rodri, and the ball's played down the left-hand side, and it's collected by Onyeka, who's speeding into the box. He's trying to tease it into the far corner, and he didn't have the poise to be able to do so. He certainly had the speed to get away, but he didn't have the finish, the finesse at the end.
That's exactly what we were just talking about. There's a really high line from the Manchester City back line, and on turnover of possession, a right time of run and a right pass, you're in.
Akanji. Brentford now trying to get back into shape. The ball picked up by Bernardo Silva on the edge of the D. And Rodri then takes it forward a couple of steps into the area. Down the right side is Phil Foden. Rodri's got it again. Silva, Foden on the edge again now. Looking up with red and white bodies in front of him. He couldn't find a way through. And he's pushed out of the box now, Foden, but he's still going, trying to weave away a path to glory. He sends it to Alvarez, who then gets right underneath of his effort, and it goes high into the night sky and floats behind and away for a goal kick. It's Manchester City 0, Brentford 0, and we're just getting underway in our championship games tonight. Cardiff against Blackburn, Ipswich against Rotherham, Plymouth against West Brom, and Southampton against Hull City in League One. It's Cambridge against Bolton. Bolton looking to try and go back into the automatic places. Oxford, Northampton, and Reading against Port Vale kicks off at 8. Wimbledon, Crawley, Gillingham, Stockport, the leaders, and MK Dons and Wrexham in action as well. Again, Brentford go forward, and there was a foul there on Onyeka, right on the edge of the box, and he's holding his shin, and that's going to be a free kick that Darren England, the referee, is going to give to Brentford in a dangerous position. Yeah, and it was a challenge by Ruben Diaz, which was a little bit clumsy.
Yeah, no doubt, definitely a free kick. We've probably got a free kick here, 24 yards out. And what Brentford have got, they always keep the two up, or one up and one just off. So if the ball does get turned over in any way, shape or form, unlike a lot of teams that come in, defend with 10 and maybe one loose further up the pitch, if it comes to that person up the pitch, he's got no forward pass. Brentford always have, because they leave two up almost.
There's a four-man wall here for Tony to test. Remember, he scored twice against Manchester City here last season, and actually has scored 4 goals in 5 games since returning from his betting ban. And he's just being helped by Vitaly Janol, who's being used as a sort of waypost behind the wall, but he's in an offside position, so he's got to be careful not to get involved here. Reguilon touches it to Tony, who strikes down towards the left-hand side, and it was high towards the goalkeeper's right as he looked at it, the left as Tony was advancing towards goal, and it missed the top of the frame of the goal by about 2 inches. It was very close.
The reason why he hasn't hit the target there is because the back heel that come from Reguilon wasn't far enough wide for him. He didn't put enough on it, and he had to adjust his run up and just caught it just under between his feet. He'd done well to adjust, but that slight adjustment ended up putting it over the bar.
I remember listening to Ian Abrahams at around about 6:45 tonight, telling us that Rotherham have got no chance tonight in the game at Portman Road, but there has been a goal. Talksport's Ian Abrahams is there.
Yeah, never listen to me. Inside 90 seconds, Ipswich 0, Rotherham 1. Long ball forward, flicked on by Tom Eaves to Sam Klukas. His return pass for Eaves, in on goal and Halaki, and he finished with aplomb. Ipswich 0, Rotherham 1. What do I know, Sam?
Cheers, Ian. Thank you very much. There's a long time to go in that game, and there's a long time to go here. That's our first goal of the night, and it comes in the Championship, and it's a surprise one. Rotherham struggling at the bottom of the table, needing a miracle to survive, and Ipswich, well, still hoping, I think, for automatic promotion. You still hoping for that? No, apparently not. Izzy is a big Ipswich fan, our producer tonight. And she's a bit pessimistic, actually. Playoffs, that'll do for you. Here's Akanji into Diaz, out towards the left, and it's picked up by Bernardo Silva, taken on by Haaland, into Bernardo Silva again, and he's fallen over, and then God knows what Roeslav was doing, so he started running through his 6-yard box and then just shot the ball out for a corner. Wasn't too far wide of his own goal.
I think he had so many bodies, Roeslav, there, that as he's running across the face of the goal with the ball at his feet, he's too scared to clear it up the pitch in case it cannoned off of anybody, and went towards his own goal.
Almost comical. Silva's delivery towards the back post is grabbed beautifully by Flecken, who came out and did very well. He did brilliantly in the game between these two earlier in the season. He made 9 saves in the first half, 12 overall in the game, the most the goalkeeper has made in some years, certainly the most this season. I think going back to David De Gea, he has certainly improved, I think. Oh, the ball's gone over the top here, and Bisa has found himself in behind now. Has he timed his run perfectly? Well, he hasn't timed his header well, because he has overhit that, and then as Ederson came out to grab it, the offside flag went up, much to the ire of the Manchester City supporters and Ederson himself. It's telling that the linesman should have put his flag up a little bit earlier than that. We'd love to see the replay.
I wasn't sure he's offside, Sam, to be fair. I mean, to be honest with you, they normally get it right. 90-odd% time they get it right, but he's done well if he's got that right.
Bob back to Akanji, on to Rodri. They're now back on the edge of the Brentford penalty area. It's out to Walker wearing pink boots, shining in the floodlights, manages to find Stones, then Rodri comes infield, twists, turn, lays it off to Akanji gets it wide, it's on to Oscar Bob. Again, everybody in red and white are behind the ball here as it goes into the box from Akanji, goes up in the air from Aya, drops on the edge of the area, and then Visa shoots it out towards this near side, gives it to Tony, and then goes on a run through the middle of the pitch. Visa, he holds on to it well, Tony, doesn't rush his ball forward and goes back to Reguilon, who finds me, and then Flecken will launch it into the evening sky. Yanol underneath this and stops Rodri from reaching it. Tony holds it up, turns, feeds Yanol, who charges forward. Diaz is favourite for that clearance, and he clips it out into the stand on this near side, and it's away for a throw-in to Brentford. 0-0.
We've just seen two pieces of play there, hold-up play, two from Tony and one from Vissa. That's why they're a threat. Because when that ball gets cleared, they're cute, these two. They hold it up, they interchange with each other, and they put each other in.
Goal kick away to our left, despite the fact that Tony did his best to try and win a corner. Oxford United lead Northampton Town by a 1-0. Josh Murphy with the goal. And Oxford tonight hoping to go above Peterborough with a victory in League One. We'll keep you in touch with all the goals as they go in from up and down the country tonight on Talksport. Tomorrow night, more live commentary coming from Anfield. And Luton Town, the visitors tomorrow night. That'll be a good game. And Luton are the opponents for Manchester City this time next week, live on Talksport, in the FA Cup 5th round. That down at Kenilworth Road. This 5th round week next week, and that happens in midweek as opposed to at a weekend. It's the only round where that happens exclusively. There's no replay, so it will go right to the end with extra time and penalties, I'm sure, in some matches. And it's quite a busy week next week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday night, live football on Talksport and Talksport 2. So lots of choice of commentaries. Free kick taken by Brentford from inside the centre circle, a waste by Reguilon. And Edison has smacked it upfield immediately for Alvarez, and Alvarez running with Onyeka down the right side, stops the ball as he gets to the edge of the penalty area, waits for reinforcements. Walker is one of those. City fans wanted him to move it quicker, but he was up against one of the fastest players on the pitch, so he didn't. He waited, and that was probably sensible. Silva into Rodri, 10 yards back from the edge of the area now. On the D is Foden with his back to go. He sends the ball into Stones and then back to Walker, and then Walker slides it down the side of the area for Alvarez. Again, Brentford just keeping them at arm's length at this moment in time and not allowing them entry into the penalty area, and then as soon as they do, they smother them and stop them from getting those chances away. The ball bent into the box by Walker and nudged behind by Aya and out for a corner kick.
I've got to say, the recovery from Brentford there, Edison's played a long early ball, and within a couple of seconds there was 8 Brentford players all goal side of the ball, just the 2 strikers further up the pitch.
Cambridge have taken the lead against Bolton. Owen Toll has scored for Cambridge, and Bolton actually themselves looking to go into the automatic places with a decent win tonight. It was an own goal, and disappointment for Bolton, who are very much hoping that their game doesn't get called off tonight like it did the other week with the relentless rain. Haaland goes down under pressure inside the area. There's a little bit of a fracas before this corner is taken, but Silva recycles it, sends it into the centre, comes back out to Alvarez, and he shoots over the bar. And it was headed down by Aya, and it's straight into the path of the Argentine, who cracked it towards goal, but it was always rising.
I've got to say, in games that are very, very congested like this, they're good opportunities. It's come out probably about 12 yards out, and he's just not got over it like Foden did earlier in the game, and just skewed it over. I've been quite impressed with Brentford, though, haven't you, on the counter-attack forays that they've had?
It sounds like I'm listening to a replay of what you said on Saturday.
No, I'm just saying.
No, but what I mean is it's a similar sort of game, isn't it?
It certainly is. And what they need to do, and which they didn't do at the weekend, was get that first goal that really give confidence to what you're trying to achieve and hang on to.
Yeah, and as you said, like, The same thing happened at the weekend, and then what they don't want to happen tonight, if it does happen, is if they concede the goal, they can't wobble, capitulate, and then end up losing 4 again. Goal down at Portman Road. Talksport's Ian Abrahams.
We've played 9 minutes. It's Ipswich 1, Rotherham 1. The Tractor Boys are level. Initially, Wes Burns down the right-hand side, sent a cross in, recycled from the left, and Burns in the middle headed the ball home. It's Ipswich 1, Rotherham 1.
Ipswich 1, Rotherham 1, and here it's 0-0 between Manchester City and Brentford. And Rodri is coming forward in the Premier League, down the left-hand side of the Brentford defence. He moves the ball infield to Bernardo Silva, and then it's on towards the left and Rodri. And Oscar Bob takes over, meanders up towards the edge of the area. He beats Roeslab, pulls the ball back. He cut back from the byline, which didn't reach a blue shirt, and then it was cleared by Onyeka. Tony's held the ball up brilliantly under the face of serious scrutiny. The referee's allowed play on. Might have gone back and given a foul against the player inside the penalty area for that kick out at Onyeka, but he's allowed things to continue. Rodri now takes it to the edge of the box. Alvarez is going to shoot it, and he's missed the target again, this time by about a couple of yards wide of the right-hand upright.
I was just looking at Pep's reaction there. Brentford back in numbers. Visser's ended up clearing it, chip one forward into Tony. Tony's held it up well, but Pep's livid that his defenders, who are 2-on-1 with Tony, one should be in front, one should be behind, so they cannot get a platform to counter-attack. As it goes, Tony done extremely well holding the ball up, but just was outnumbered eventually.
Ronald Koeman is watching from on high tonight, sitting in the stands here, the former Everton manager, former Southampton manager, keeping an eye on proceedings, watching one of the 2 or 3 of the Dutch contingent. Here is Akanji out on the left-hand side, moves up towards the midway point of the Brentford half, and then Foden sends the ball into the penalty area, and it's clasped by Mark Flecken, and we'll go off to St Mary's, where there's been a goal for Talksport's Alex Crook.
And it's a goal for the visitors. Southampton 0, Hull 1. Fabio Carvalho with the initial shot from the edge of the penalty area, only parried away by Gavin Bazunu, and there was Anis Zaroury to tuck home. Southampton 0, Hull 1.
There we are. And there is a turn-up for the books, and maybe not really. Hull have been playing okay over the course of the season, and Liam Racine has certainly done a good job there. Southampton, who are eyeing up automatic promotion, can go back into the top 2 with a victory tonight, but it will need to be a victory. Here is Foden, 10 yards back from the edge of the Brentford box, wide out to Carl Walker, the captain of Manchester City now. And trying to funnel away past this tightly packed, stubborn defence of Brentford. Come here to ensure there are no gaps. The ball flicked him towards Haaland, and Bob's cross actually was a little bit difficult for anyone to get on the end of it. Went over Rodri's head, and Haaland thought, well, I'll try and make something of this. Came out rather acrobatically, lifted his left foot into the air and tried to hook it backwards over his shoulder. I mean, it was probably about a 1% chance of finding the target from that sort of range, but at least he tried it.
See, I think only he would attempt that. If it was another striker, they'd have just got the ball, try to control it, get it down and feed a teammate in. But you can't knock him for it, because his goal record suggests that 1%
comes off every now and again.
Exactly.
Yeah, and look, you know, he has scored 73 goals in 80 games for Manchester City, which is not a bad return, is it? Here's Oscar Bob being fed down the left-hand side into the penalty area, pulls it behind Phil Foden, and it's helped away by Roeslab and then cleared by Norgard upfield, and there's an opportunity to counter-attack now for Brentford. There was 2-on-2 for a moment there. Tony's fed Visser, he's well offside and he knows it. Goal at Ipswich. Talksport's Ian Abrahams.
13 gone. Ipswich 2, Rotherham 1. Kiefer Moore, who's got the goal. Wes Burns down the right-hand side is absolutely got his fullback on toes, put the ball in the middle, and Moore couldn't miss from 8 yards out. Ipswich 2, Rotherham 1.
Burns has got the fullback on toast. There's a joke there somewhere. Here is Rodri onto Haaland, edge of the area, trying to turn. Foden trying to swivel inside the box. Again, he's absolutely smothered by red and white jerseys, and then Onyeka brings the ball out, carrying it brilliantly upfield, draws the foul, takes the pressure off his defence and wins a free kick inside the centre circle. 31 gone. Manchester City 0, Brentford 0. And I don't think Manchester City will be too disheartened after Saturday night, because I think they gave up a lot of chances against Chelsea, but they created 31 shots, but only hit the target 5 times. Of course, they won't be disheartened unless they feel as if they're struggling to find the target in this game as well. They couldn't afford to drop points in this game too.
Well, in the scheme of things, potentially not, it's fair to say. Listen, it depends how much the opposition, the other 2 teams that are on the charge as well, how much they're going to drop, but that would be fair to say.
Ball sent up towards the edge of the Manchester City penalty area by Mark Flecken. He took the free kick that we mentioned just inside his own half, but it was repelled by City and sent out towards the left as Walsall take the lead against Morecambe by 1-0, and it's cleared up by Flecken into the City half. Pep Guardiola wearing a big, thick black puffer jacket which goes down towards his knees tonight, has his hands rammed into his pockets and his black shoes shining in the floodlights as he watches his team skate forward to the edge of the area. Rodri is dispossessed by Jurgensen, and now Vita is taking the ball up to halfway. He's fed it out towards the left. Tony stayed onside, and now he moves in towards the left wing position. He gathers the ball for Brentford. He runs up to Diaz. He's got Reguilon for support. Reguilon takes over, sends it back to Tony. Tony prods it to Norgard, who uses it well, brings Jurgensen into play. He sends it wide to Roeslav, and now a chance maybe for them to get it into the box. Jurgensen sends it towards Visa, but out comes Ederson and grabs it unchallenged. 0-0.
I'll tell you what, Brentford's ability, having watched them twice in consecutive games, their ability to actually clear the ball and get it up to their forward line, who keep possession of the ball so well, is as good as you'd see by these 2 strikers.
We'll go back to Pep's reaction in just a second, because there were a few sort of groans and grizzles just a moment ago. Here's Rodri towards the far post. Walker through to the centre. Header is wide by Bernardo Silva from 6 yards out. Well constructed move, picked up from the left-hand side, floated towards the right, headed back across the goal by Walker and fired wide by Bernardo Silva.
Well, as you said, Pep was telling the crowd, be patient with Ederson, and if that would have hit the back of the net, he would have been straight at the crowd again and went, I told you, didn't I? How he's missed that, I do not know. Brilliant play. Walker's headed it across the face of goal, and well, to be fair to Silva, he's got to hit the target from there.
Pep Guardiola was turning round to the crowd. I've seen him do this a couple of times actually here, and just said, just chill out, leave it, we'll get there, calm down. And he would have been proved absolutely right if just seconds later he had seen his team go ahead, and it was a brilliantly constructed move. Rodri was involved in it. His floated ball to the far post, headed back across by Walker, and then Bernardo Silva, who usually in those scenarios would be lethal, just missed the target by only a couple of yards, maybe not even a yard, and it flew past a relieved Mark Flecken's left-hand upright. It remains 0-0, and there's only 10 minutes to go before half-time. Remember that City were behind in the first game between these two just a couple of weeks ago and scored on the stroke of half-time down at Brentford, and that then turned the tide. Here on the left is Oscar Bob onto Akanji, who strikes towards the far corner, and Flecken has to stick his hand up and fingertip it over the top of the crossbar. Well, it was some rasping effort from Akanji from the left-hand edge of the area on his right foot. He came centrally and then tried to curl it into the top corner, and Flecken denied it.
Yeah, he's done really well there. Come inside, probably 30 yards out, and he's hit it with curl, pace and dip, and I think that was just creeping under the crossbar.
Silva into the centre, a flick at the near post. It's still loose as it comes down and hits the defender. Stabbed clear by me. Comes out to Foden, edge of the box, and then recycled by Walker down the side of the penalty area. Collected by Bernardo Silva. His shirt blowing round his waist as Rodri lifts it to the back edge of the box. Diaz with a header, saved by Flecken and smuggled behind again.
Well, the Brentford defenders claiming a free kick for a push at the far post there. Referee's having none of it though.
Cross was a good one, wasn't it? Diaz got up really well and Flecken made a good stop from point blank range. Corner kick, far side. Brentford coaches going mad at the fourth official. Ball right underneath the goalkeeper, who punches it away well. Foden strikes it, blocked by Visa and cleared to halfway.
Well, I tell you what, Foden's hit that so clinically again. Sure, if he gets another one, he might get a touch more good fortune.
9 minutes to go before the break. City knocking at the door, but it won't open. Silva down the right-hand side. It's back to Stones. It's probably not the most accurate description. It's double doors, isn't it, to try and get to that Brentford goal tonight. Silva sends the ball into the centre. Stones gets it back, comes to Oscar Bob, who takes his time and then shoots. It's cleared off the line brilliantly. What a stop on the line by Ben Mee after tricky feet from Oscar Bob. It was balletic and showed a maturity beyond his years to ride a challenge. He thought he was sliding it into an empty net, and then Ben Mee appeared like the shopkeeper.
Well, I'll tell you what, Bob's done well there. Just come inside, faked to shoot the first one, went past his man, and then from absolutely nowhere, Ben Mee reading play, as you'd expect from him.
Out to the left, and Oscar Bob again, probing down into the channel, looking for Phil Foden, and it goes out of play, and it's away for a throw-in. Where did Ben Mee actually come from? It was like Mr. Ben.
Dressed as a spaceman he was, just popped out of nowhere.
38 minutes gone. Here is Rodri, out to the left, it's on to Erling Haaland, and then back to Oscar Bob. City continue their probing, continue to try and force open this Brentford back door. It's with Stones now, sliding it to Foden. Foden down the right side of the box. Walker tries to crash it past Reguilon, who stood firm. The ball ricochets to the near side. It's going to be well, I thought it'd be a Brentford throw. The Brentford fans thought the same, but Manchester City were rewarded it. They continue to build up down this right with Bernardo Silva onto Phil Foden, then back out to Stones. Stones to Rodri, flicks it round the corner, looking for Walker. Very quick, fast tempo to their crisp possession football. Rodri, Tony had to be careful. Again, another hit from Akanji, takes the deflection, goes out for a corner. Currently Manchester City 0, Brentford 0. For the latest odds, you can head to Ladbrokes. Right now, you can get a City victory at 7-2 on. Brentford to win is 11-1. The draw is 7-2. It's all thanks to Ladbrokes. 18+. BeGambleAware.org. Here is the corner, far side, to be taken by Julian Alvarez of Argentina. His left hand was in the air. There was a bit of pushing and shoving going on. Ivan Toney, who doesn't mind winding people up, was happy to get involved in that and cause some issues. Miroslav being spoken to as well. And Julian Alvarez has to wait. Ruben Diaz is pleading his innocence. Erling Haaland is right on the goal line. Flecken trying to organise his troop. Haaland being pushed and pulled. The ball's delivered to the back post, and it's way past Diaz, and it goes out for a goal kick away to our right-hand side. This is Talksport, and we are live at the Etihad Stadium, and it's kicking off over on the far side. The Brentford players have seen Jurgensen go down. He felt that he was hurt in a circumstance, and he's needing some treatment. He's getting back on his feet now. We're getting a replay of that brilliant Oscar Bob moment where he slides past the defender. I thought that was a brilliant bit of movement as well. In free play, when you watch it at full speed, the way he just sort of slows up to the ball, then goes past the defender. Brilliant play, and the defending was exquisite.
Yeah, quite often the defensive proviso there is never let them inside. But when they're in a position there where you know they're going to shoot, if you give them half an inch, you've got to commit to blocking the shot and hope one of your teammates behind you recovers a position. But when you look at Ben Mee, he's come from absolutely nowhere, from sort of left to right, flew across the goal and managed to just open his body up and clear it with his left foot.
Wrexham can go above Mansfield if they win tonight. They lead by a goal to nil. James McLean scored after 22 minutes. Elsewhere tonight, Cardiff 0, Blackburn 0, Ipswich 2, Rotherham 1, Plymouth 0, West Brom 0, Southampton 0, Hull 1. Art Flecken taking his time over a goal kick. Cambridge lead in League 1 against Bolton by a goal to nil. Oxford 1 up. Reading Port Vale is 0-0, just got underway. In League 2, 0-0 in all the games apart from Wrexham leading, and Walsall 1-0 up against Morecambe. In the Champions League, no goals so far, and still 0-0 in the semi-final of the Bristol Street Motors Trophy. It's a mouthful. Here is Ben Mee to take a throw inside opposition territory on the left. Pep Guardiola is having a word with the fourth official, a little laugh and a joke with Tony Harrington as the ball goes into play. And Tony tries to keep it alive. It goes out again for another throw, and it's thrown in poorly by Tony this time. And then Foden gives it away, and then commits a foul right on the edge of the box on Visser. And it's going to be a free kick. Well, probably 5 yards back from the edge of the penalty area. Although the referee, again, has not marked it where it actually took place. It's going to be a bit further back than that. But it looked like not much contact there.
No, there was no contact there. But this is the problem the referee has have. It in quick time, you can't tell, and you've got to rely on the honesty of players to stay on their feet, and that is a commodity that is in short supply at the moment.
Darren England was sold a pup there by Johan Visser, and Reguilon is going to look to try and profit from it. He steps up, left-footed, lifts it towards the back edge of the box. It's headed clear, and then Ruoslev sort of delayed, waited, and then Bob sort of pinched it, and it was a bit befuddled really, and it goes back towards Flecken eventually, and they'll look to try and recycle it. It's sent out wide. Johan Visser's got it again. Tony wanted it played early, bent his run, then he's got to go and make another one. It comes back on the far side, the right. Mee delivers across. The header towards the far corner is a good one from Onyeka, and it's a flying save by Edison to grab it. It's another effort on target.
I'll tell you what, it was a very good save. One you would expect him to save, but the angle of it was right in the corner. He's at full strength stretch and managed to get both hands on it and hold it.
Certainly, that was an impressive bit of play from Brentford again. And they have had trouble keeping clean sheets. They're not unbreachable, Manchester City. In fact, they've had a little problem with going behind. Pep Guardiola's side have fallen behind in 11 of their 24 Premier League games this season. It's unlike them. Tony halfway. Norgard trying to send the ball over the top for Visser, but although he breached the line and timed his run this time, he didn't manage to get on the end of the ball because Edison's starting position was so good, and now City bring it forward through the middle of the centre circles. Bernardo Silva fell over on top of the ball, but then had time to get back up and continued his travels into Brentford territory. He moves down the left side towards the edge of the box and plays it into Foden. Foden onto Silva, then back onto Diaz, who shoots towards the near corner, and it's saved by Flecken and pushed out wide.
Good save, good build-up play there by City, very intricate through the middle and then just out to the left-hand side, and a good effort, but Flecken once again showing good form at present.
It certainly is. Brentford started the night 5 points clear of the relegation zone, but they don't want to be relying on the insurance policy of points deductions of others. They know they need to start putting points on the board. It's why they've come here and tried to be as difficult to beat as possible. Now, you are listening to Brentford and Manchester City on Talksport. It's still 0-0 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Enterprise has 450 branches with all the vehicles your business needs. Equaliser in the game between MK Dons and Wrexham. It's 1-1 there. The goal coming from Daniel Kemp after 26 minutes for MK Dons. Here is Walker down the right side, trying to clear under pressure from Sergi Reguilon. And then it goes out with Walker to take the throw, and he tosses it back to his goalkeeper. 44 minutes, 30 seconds. Remember, Phil Foden scored in stoppage time, first half stoppage time against Brentford down at the Community Stadium, the G-Tech. And Brentford had already taken the lead by that point. Neil Mopai scoring the opener after a goal kick. And Aki was moved out of the way, edged out of the way by Ivan Toney. Ball bent round the corner by Rodri, finding Walker. Walker high up inside opposition territory. Might be the last act of the first half. 2 minutes of added play. Akanji, Bob, left side, 6 steps back from the angle of the penalty area. I don't know what the boo's about. Akanji onto Stone. Stone striking one from distance, punched away by Flecken. It moved in the air, and he had to watch that all the way. Back out to Bernardo Silva, then on to Akanji. 3 to aim at in the centre. Akanji will deliver the cross. Ben Mee will prod it clear with his head. A big, strong header it was. Comes back out of Rodri again. Immediately switches the play to the left. Good, well taken touch by Bernardo Silva. Finds Rodri. Back to Bernardo Silva. Out to Alvarez. Then Stones. Good slick build up again from City. Can they find a finish here? Walker towards the edge of the box. Oh, it's steered away by Norgard, and then Visser trying to escape. Tries to get up over the halfway line. Got in front of Stones there. That's going to be a free kick. And it's going to be a yellow card as well for John Stones, as Ipswich go further in front at Portman Road. Ian Abrahams.
29 gone. Ipswich 3, Rotherham 1. Wes Burns has his second. Initially a shot saved, came back out. Ipswich had another shot that was saved, and Burns touched in the rebound for close range. Ipswich 3, Rotherham 1.
See, you do know what you're talking about. I told you that there was no chance that Rotherham were going to win that game. There's certainly not much chance of it now. Ipswich leading by 3-1, which will hold them in good stead in the Championship. It will mean they move up into third position, level on points with Leeds United at the end of the night if results stay as they are at this moment in time, with Southampton losing at home against Hull City. Here is Flecken clipping the ball high into the night sky. It's not dealt with at all well by Ruben Diaz, but an offside flag is up anyway. And then the ball was kicked away there, and Ben Mee's going to get a yellow card as a result of it. A bit silly to give away a yellow card in those circumstances when you're marking Erling Haaland.
Yeah, it is. It puts himself under a little bit of pressure. Interesting to see how the first half panned out, Sam, isn't it? With City being intricate, but they've had as many long-range efforts as they have close-range efforts, I would say.
Yeah.
And if Brentford are going to score, it's going to be turnover of possession, ball forward, set back, and then a ball in beyond a high line.
Well, 16 goal attempts in the first half for Manchester City, 6 shots on target, 11 shots off target, but yet no goals. Brentford have not drawn a Premier League game since October, but if they were to take a point here, they wouldn't just be the toast of Hounslow, but they'd be the toast of North London and half of Merseyside as well. At the break, Manchester City 0, Brentford 0.
Well, that's a moment when Pep Guardiola told the crowd to calm down. They should have taken the lead moments later, but they haven't. It's 0-0, and there are frustrations in the City crowd. To be fair to them, at various times in that first half, they've really got behind the champions, but to no avail in front of goal. And I think, Stuart Pearce, City might have a problem here, because Brentford look very well set up, very well organised, and yes, City have had chances, but they haven't taken those chances. Brentford have created chances of them for their own as well. The goalkeeper's taken an age over goal kicks. That's going to happen even more in the second half. Visser, a massive dive to stop City breaking away. The referee didn't spot it, gave a free kick. They're doing all they can just to stop City being City, aren't they, Brentford? And it's working so far.
Yeah, they are. As I say, they're defending with 8 and the goalkeeper, and they've got Visser sort of half-cocked, and then Tony beyond him. And where they've been brilliant is quite often when you play these blue-chip teams, you clear the ball when it comes back again. You clear it, it comes back again. That doesn't happen with Brentford. They clear it, but they get it forward, and they're the two players that are more advanced hold it up, interchange with each other, and get the team up the pitch. That gives you a breather at the back.
I'm intrigued by something you said in the first half, Stuart, and that was about how teams show a lot of respect, too much respect to Manchester City. Another way of phrasing that is that Brentford's are basically defending the numbers. They've got a game plan not to lose here, and they do it against City, might not do it against others. Next month, for example, when they go to Arsenal, will they do it at Arsenal? We'll see, but I'm not so sure they will.
I think, Brentford defend in that sort of 5-3-1-1 scenario and quite deep, but I think people show Manchester City so much more respect in world football now than probably most teams, because they're that good and so good and clinical on the ball. In
practice, though, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but what I think that means is that for Brentford to get a point here, no matter how they get it, and it doesn't matter about the dive from Visser, it doesn't matter how long he takes over the goal kicks, people will laud it. What a fantastic point that is for them at the home of the English, European and world champions. Whereas we've seen West Ham a couple of weeks ago couldn't stop Arsenal. Burnley couldn't stop Arsenal at the weekend. In some ways, it feels slightly that it's distorting the title race. Teams are trying harder against Manchester City. Is that unfair?
It's sort of what I was alluding to when I say if City win the league, they've probably earned it a little bit harder. And I don't mean that other teams might pick up a Premier League title and have not worked as hard as Manchester City, but teams do come to play City at home and City away and know full well how good they are and don't overexert themselves in regard to throwing players forward like I think they do at most of the other teams, if not all the other teams in the Premier League.
Is there anything different Manchester City can do?
They've just got to take one of those chances, and it's like building a dam up with water. That's what they've done. They put half of the water in the dam so far, and when the water gets a little bit, they hope that the dam will be breached later in the game. But the dam is in Brentford's hands.
The dam busters. The second half, and we got the music. Stuart, brilliant. And that makes total sense as well. The imagery is right there in me.
Anyone any idea what I'm on about? Because I have no idea.
Somebody somewhere will make sense of it, I am sure. So 0-0 here. Manchester City, are they about to drop points at home for the second game running? Goals have gone in League One. Northampton have equalised at Oxford, one apiece. Oxford in the playoff places at the start of the evening. Let's update you from our championship games at Portman Road. First of all, Talksport, Ian Abrahams.
34 gone, Ipswich 3, Rotherham 1. A halting play at the moment as Ollie Rathbone is down injured. He's not actually on the pitch, but they've stopped play and he's being attended to on the side of the pitch. So I'll keep an eye on that one for you. Tommy's put Rotherham ahead after 73 seconds. That was about as good as it got, as Rathbone is able to get to his feet, at least on the far side. Wes Burns has scored twice. Kiefer Moore has got the other. Ipswich could have had 3 others apart from those, and so far this is a cakewalk. Ipswich 3, Rotherham 1.
Let's head to St Mary's. Talksport's Alex Crook.
Southampton 0, Hull 1, 10 minutes to go until half-time, and this is turning into a very frustrating night for the home side, looking to move up into the automatic promotion places. They fell behind in the 11th minute. Jaden Philogene shot from the edge of the area was too hot for Gavin Bazunu in the Saints goal to handle, and Anis Zaruri tucked in the rebound from close range. And I have to say, Hull have been the better team. Zaruri flashing a shot wide from 25 yards in the very early exchanges. Philogene has been denied by Bazunu at his near post after cutting in from the right, and we also saw Abush Irma fire just wide. And as you join me, Hull City have their second. Southampton, not for the first time this season, caught playing their way out from the back, and it's Fabio Carvalho who capped his ears in front of the Saints fans. He finished neatly one-on-one with Bazunu. This wasn't in the script as far as Russell Martin was concerned. It's Southampton 0, Hull City 2.
Well, they had a great January, Liam Rossinia's Hull City. 2 of those January signings, Anis Zaruri from Burnley and Fabio Carvalho from Liverpool, have got the goals tonight. Hull go into the top 6 if they avoid defeat this evening. Southampton 0, Hull City 2. What about the game at Home Park in Devon? John Roder.
8 minutes to go until half-time. Plymouth Argyle 0, West Bromwich Albion 0. We haven't had too much in the way of goal-scoring opportunities for either side. West Brom coming close when Alex Mowatt's long run forward was deflected onto the post and wide for a corner, while Andreas Wyman went through on the right. His shot was well saved. At the other end, Plymouth convinced they should have had a penalty. Darko Jayabi, terrific run into the penalty area. He looked to be bundled over, but referee Tom Neild waved play on. We're approaching half-time. Argyle 0, West Brom 0.
Elsewhere in the Championship, Cardiff 0, Blackburn 0. Champions League, no goals as yet in League One. Cambridge 1, Bolton 0. It's like Cockney rhyming slang. Owen Toll, own goal. Oxford United 1, Northampton 1 is the latest score. And an 8 o'clock kick-off, Reading 0, Port Vale 0. Port Vale out of the bottom 4 with a win tonight. League 2, Wimbledon 0, Crawley 0. Gillingham 0, the leaders Stockport 0. MK Dons 1, Wrexham 1. Walsall are 2-0 up on Morecambe. Ross Tierney and Jamil Matt with the goals. In the Bristol Street Motors Trophy, it's still goalless in the first half and an 8 o'clock kick-off live on Talksport 2. Blackpool 0, Peterborough 0. Winner goes to Wembley. National League filed a 2-0 up against Solihull Moors, continuing their brilliant run. Ebbsfleet lead Woking 1-0. Woking in trouble. Altrincham 1 up at Hartlepool. Gateshead lead 1-0 at Phil Brown's Kidderminster. Southend 1 up at Maidenhead. And Eastleigh 3-0 up at Oxford City. Eastleigh now under the management of Kelvin Davis, the former Southampton goalkeeper. FA Trophy 5th round, Wealdstone lead Hendon by 2-0. And Borussia Dortmund have just taken the lead at PSV in the Champions League. Daniel Marlon with the goal on 24, PSV 0, Borussia Dortmund 1. But live and exclusive on Talksport here at the Etihad in this brilliant title race. Manchester City are being held. It's City 0, Brentford 0.
Kick-off on Talksport with Ladbrokes. We play together. Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org. We all fantasize about our perfect home. Watching the big game, cozied up in the snug.
Another 7-0 win!
Balmy summer nights with the kids playing on the lawn.
We're playing real-life football!
But come on, this isn't real. Listen, if you're serious about making your fantasy a reality, find out what your home is worth instantly with a free online valuation estimate. Get real about moving. Get on the market. Most common time to obtain an online quote between 1st of June 2022 and 30th of September 2022 is under 3 minutes. Excludes Northern Ireland.
Playing host for the big game? Feed the squad with a meal deal exclusively on Just Eat. Save over 45% on KFC's finger kicking double bucket and 25% or more on matchday meal deals from Burger King, Pizza Hut Delivery, German Doner Kebab, Greg's and more. It's the easiest win of the season.
Did somebody say just eat?
Participating stores in selected locations subject to availability. Saving compared to individual items. Delivery fees and other charges may apply. End 17th of March. See justeat.co.uk for details.
At Screwfix, we're giving all our customers a big boost this February with 10% off orders placed on the Screwfix app. Simply download the app, turn on your exclusive app offer permissions, and job done. Your Screwfix Boost discount code will be delivered to you the very next day. You can then use the code to place as many Screwfix app orders as you like in February and get 10% off every time. Still not downloaded the Screwfix app? Download now. T's and C's apply. No minimum spend. For full details, visit screwfix.com.
Who are you going for in the racing today? The favourite. And tomorrow? The favourite. And the next day? The favourite. The Sun's horse racing pullout, The Favourite, is now in the paper 7 days a week. Yes, that's right. Every single day. Bringing you even more top tips, more form guides, more race cards, and all the colours and silks. Get your favourite pullout every day in the Sun, the home of racing.
There will be 14 minutes of extra time.
With Betfair's 90-minute payout, you don't have to wait for the final whistle to celebrate, because your winning bet will be paid out in full at 90 minutes. Betfair.
Applies to match odds 90 market or markets with the 90 icon. Sportsbook exclusive. Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
McDelivery, you in?
Oh, am I? What a day. I need 6 chicken McNuggets, or maybe 9, or maybe 6 and a cheeky cheeseburger. Makes sense. With something sweet to follow, like an apple pie, or a McFlurry. Or I could get a milkshake instead. You know, a nice halfway house of drink and ice cream.
Jane, the game's just starting.
Oh, hi. Yeah, sorry. I'm in.
There's nothing quite like a McDelivery. You in? At participating restaurants only. 18 plus. Serving times, delivery fees and terms apply. See app or mcdonalds.com for details.
Kick off on Talksport with Now. Stream the Premier League contract free with a Now day or month membership. 18 plus. Stream via internet. Terms apply.
Strap yourself in.
He hits it first time. What a volley, what a goal.
Ultimate Football Radio.
Fantastic strike.
Kick off live on Talksport.
3 National League goals for you have just gone in. AFC Fylde 2, Solihull Moors 1. Solihull in the playoff places. Jack Stevens has pulled one back for them on the Fylde coast. Maidenhead have equalised home to Southend 1-1. And Eastleigh are now 4-0 up before half-time away to relegation-bound Oxford City. Liverpool have got injury problems. Diogo Jota out for at least a month with a knee injury. Jurgen Klopp says he doesn't know how long Alisson will be out for. Curtis Jones is also out. They're home to Luton tomorrow night. It is live and exclusive on Talksport. It is not on your telly. Here at the Etihad, Man City 0, Brentford 0. Let's get the half-time odds with Ladbrokes.
Odds update on Talksport with Ladbrokes. We play together. Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
So still goalless here at the Etihad. City are 10-3 on to win. The draw is 16-5. Brentford are 11-1 to win the game. Julian Alvarez to score the first goal was 11-2. It's been price boosted to 13-2. He's had a couple of chances, well off target though. Erling Haaland to score a header was 7-1. That's now been boosted to 8-1. That's the latest odds with Ladbrokes. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Odds update on Talksport with Ladbrokes. We play together. Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Don't forget Jim White and Simon Jordan tomorrow morning on Talksport from 10 a.m. Always worth a listen. Danny Murphy is with them as well tomorrow morning. And I'm going to be on breakfast tomorrow at 7 a.m. Stuart Pearce will be on at 8 a.m. Gary O'Neill, the Wolves manager, will be on the breakfast show tomorrow from 6. And David O'Leary will be on the show as well, former Arsenal great, former Leeds United manager, as well as we await the teams coming out for the second half here at the Etihad Stadium. Goalless at the break. We'll keep you in touch with all the goals that go in elsewhere as well. And live on Talksport 2 right now, they're still waiting for the first goal half an hour in in the EFL Trophy semi-final. Blackpool 0, Peterborough 0. If you want to listen to that, honestly, if you want to listen to that, it is live on Talksport 2. You can download the Talksport app for free, swipe between the two stations with ease, or tell your smart speaker to play Talksport 2. Of course, I'm being sarcastic. It's my team. I want to see them at Wembley on April the 7th. A final we will have live, of course, on the Talksport network. Let's get half-time at Plymouth in the Championship. John Roeder.
Half-time, Plymouth Argyle 0, West Bromwich Albion 0. Not a second of additional time played. A first half that was fairly attritional. Plymouth having a great shot from Adam Randall, which curled just wide from 25 yards out. Darko Jayabi thought he was bundled over in the penalty area. The referee said no spot kick. As for West Brom, they've come closest to scoring. Alex Mowatt's deflected shot was onto the post and wide for a corner, while Andreas Weimann was through on the right-hand side, but his shot was well saved by Connor Hazard. Fifth place West Bromwich Albion at the moment being held by Plymouth. It's Argyle 0, West Brom 0.
Yeah, West Brom beaten at home live on Talksport 2 by Southampton on Friday night. Put too much distance between themselves and the top four. Just want to cling on to one of those two remaining playoff places that are up for grabs. Goalless at Plymouth. Ipswich 3-1 up on Rotherham, having fallen behind. Cardiff 0, Blackburn 0, and Hull City 2-0 up at Southampton. And we'll keep you updated with all the goals that go in there. In the National League, Bromley have just taken the lead against Dagenham. Bromley 20 points behind the leaders, Chesterfield in second place. That the latest score. We're about to get underway in the second half here at the Etihad, where Manchester City need at least one goal. It is City 0, Brentford 0, second half. Live and exclusive, only here on Talksport with Stuart, Pearce and Sam Matterface.
Well, Manchester City's record here will inspire confidence. They responded well to last season's defeat to Brentford just before the World Cup. It's 23 Premier League matches unbeaten since. They have also scored in 45 straight games here since a 0-0 draw with Sporting in the second leg of a Champions League tie that they'd already won a year ago. So they will be expected to score here today. But it's 0-0 at present, and we've had no changes at half-time. We're underway with them attacking the goal away to our left, and the ball into the box. Headed away as far as Rodri on the edge of the area. He tries to steer it back centrally, and it's cleared by Norgard, chested down by Alvarez, who missed a couple of good opportunities in that first 45, and then Brentford looked to escape, can't do so, comes back to Bernardo Silva, and then wide to Oscar Bob. Bob tries to take on Ruslav, tries to trick his way into the area and plays a lovely ball into Foden, whose turn is balletic, and then he tries to scoop it forward into the 6-yard box, and it's grabbed by Flecken. So no changes at the break for either of these two teams. Light blue and white shorts for Manchester City attacking the goal away to our left. Brentford in red and white stripes attacking the goal away to our right. Stuart Pearce is here. What are you expecting from the second half?
Well, probably more of the same from both teams, and just Walker's just gone down, he's headed the ball, and I think he's just landed awkwardly. I think he's up on his haunches now. Yeah, more of the same from both of the teams, but you've also got the conundrum with Pep. He'll want to rest players, but he knows full well that he might have to introduce Doku and De Bruyne to turn it in his favour. He cannot afford to drop points tonight.
And you can see that there is the threat of the nuisance already on the near touchline. Neil Maupay is away to our left-hand side, warming up, and Brentford getting ready to introduce him into proceedings. Ivan Toney actually said in the build-up to the game that he felt that he and Maupay had developed a good partnership and were ready to rattle City.
Yeah, but I think him and Visser have had a good partnership, certainly in the first half. A good understanding of where to go and where to lay off to each other.
Here is Rodri, then back to the near touchline, and Akanji. Bernardo Silva taking over. Kevin De Bruyne obviously a weapon that they can introduce from the bench. It's a game that might well suit him. He has the ability to carve out chances when others can't, and he will be ready to come on and take the lead should it be necessary in this second half. 0-0, and City coming forward. We played a couple of minutes at the start of the second half. They're still funneling out of the expensive corporate hospitality seats and ready to come and take their seats for the second half down the way to our right hand side. People jostling for position to get into their seats before the action really hots up. Here's Rodri trying to get things moving for City, playing it towards the left, and Akanji to Oscar Bob, and then back to Akanji again, left side of the area, then Foden. Everyone in red and white behind the ball as Onyeka steps in and Roslav will clear, and again it comes back via City and Akanji down the left-hand side, and there's still no gaps to open here, because as soon as Silva gets towards the edge of the penalty area on the left-hand side, Jorgensen shuts the door and the ball bounces out for a corner near touchline.
Yeah, and it's one of these, it's patience from City, but patience with tempo is absolutely vital. And from Brentford's point of view, they can't think their work's done because they've gone in with a nil at half-time, because you know full well that nil could turn into a 4 in Manchester City.
Alvarez will take the corner from the near touchline. 48 minutes and 43 seconds on the big clock behind the goal away to our left. The City are trying to attack. Oscar Bob takes over and it comes to the Foden edge of the area. It's pinched and now they're on the counter-attack, Brentford, and Onyeka is steaming through. He's got Tony to his left, timing his run. He's got Reguilon on the outside. He chooses Reguilon, then gets it back on Onyeka. Turns inside the box, needs an outlet, and he's twisted himself into trouble. He gets the ball across the face of goal and overhits it, and it goes right through the penalty area, and a golden chance has been wasted for Brentford. They counter-attacked at rapid speed. Onyeka launching the counter-attack with a fierce run from inside his own half. He held on to it all the way up the pitch and then twisted and turned himself into a cul-de-sac and then fired it down the right-hand side and well over the top of everyone in red and white inside the box, Stuart.
Yeah, City can thank themselves that they got Walker's pace there, because Walker's pace puts off the pass in behind the back line because they know he's got a great recovery. But Silva there took a touch on the edge of the box and was swamped by 3 Brentford players on the charge.
Half-time down at St Mary's, Alex Crook.
And it's Southampton 0, Hull City 2. The visitors in front on 11 minutes when Anis Zaruri tucked in from close range after Gavin Bazunu could only parry the initial effort. And Fabio Carvalho doubled that lead 9 minutes before half-time. Work to do for Southampton if they're to move into the top 2. It's Saints 0, Hull 2.
Stones into the edge of the box right side. Walker looks to get the cross in from the right wing position for Manchester City, who are back on the attack. And it's still goalless on Talksport. Tomorrow night, Luton against Liverpool is live. And then the weekend, what a big weekend we have for you. Arsenal against Newcastle Saturday night, 8 o'clock that game, Arsenal-Newcastle. And then on Sunday, Liverpool against Chelsea in the Carabao Cup. Here's the ball into the box. Doesn't reach Foden. It's cleared away. Comes back to Rodri, who strikes it well wide of goal. And it goes behind and away for a goal kick. Malik Mothersil scores after 37 minutes for Peterborough United. They're in front against Blackpool by 1-0. I knew that had happened before I'd even seen it on the video printer, because Lord Adrian was jumping up and down like a lunatic over on the far side. And commentary continues on Talksport 2 right now from Ian Danter and Mickey Gray. If you want to listen to the conclusion of that match, Blackpool have been pretty good at home this season at Bloomfield Road. And they gave Nottingham Forest one hell of a game there in the FA Cup as third round replay that I was at earlier in the year on a freezing night on the Wild Coast. Here is Bernardo Silva down the left, looking to try and prise open this stubborn Brentford defence, who have applied themselves well after 52 minutes. Walker, Alvarez, trying to get to Foden. Foden is 5 yards back from the edge of the box. Mee engages him. They pushed the ball wide again. It takes a deflection, goes into the box, picked away by Jorgensen. And then it's collected by Oscar Bob on the near touchline. He'll try to recycle it. Finds Akanji, approaches the area, plays it square. It's on to Rodri, tries to nudge it infield. Silva trying to turn, and then it's picked up by Onyeka, and he sort of almost escaped and then didn't, and then had to win it back again. And Roslav then sends it long for Tony, who wins that ball so well. And then Visser tries to escape with it. And I think he might be a little bit disappointed that he wasn't allowed to. The referee came back and said that was a free kick.
I'm just looking at Pep's body language there. He's so frustrated that his defenders are not getting first contact. And I was just saying, Brentford are under the cosh, and then just a sort of loose clearance, if you like. But Ivan Toney is so good at holding the ball up and using his body. He's bought his team, well, probably 2 minutes, 3 minutes worth of play, and certainly he's got them up into the opposition's half. So good that play is.
Well, Akanji said earlier in the week that they needed to improve their defensive work. Carl Walker was getting a little bit frustrated about the fact that they weren't keeping clean sheets, and the defending tonight hasn't been perfect, has it, Manchester City? And those little processes that clearly are in place but yet not being executed are causing Manchester City a few issues. You can see why they've conceded goals more readily this season than Pep Guardiola would certainly like.
Well, I think in the last 2 games, Sam, I think it's that high line.
Given away cheaply by Manchester City, and then Tony fed Visa, who was fouled, and he's won a free kick 10 yards back from the edge of the D. Sorry, you were talking about the Manchester City high line.
Yeah, I think the high line is offering the odd problem. I mean, we saw it in the first half with a couple of balls behind, and we certainly saw it in the Chelsea game where they hold that high line, and it enables, if you've got good ball in behind and good runs, you're going to cause a problem. But this is a totally different scenario about what we're talking about with Tony holding the ball up, and he's done it so well tonight, I think.
Reguilon to take the free kick, 12 yards back from the edge of the D, clips it towards the far side, headed down by Norgard. Jorgensen keeps it alive inside the penalty area. It's not cleared by Manchester City. It was pinballing around, and Phil Foden had to swivel and smack it to halfway. Again, it was a little bit of a mess inside that penalty area. Flecken launches it long. It's up towards Ben Mee. It's over his head, and it'll go out of play. And Akanji will just allow it to run out for a goal kick away to our right. If you're Pep Guardiola, and no one wants to give Pep Guardiola advice, but what do they need to do to change the narrative here? Because at this moment in time, we're heading towards the hour mark in a game which everyone was expecting them to win. Adrian said on drive time, 6-7 could be the scoreline here tonight. I said when I walked in, Brentford can't defend at all for Toffee. They're definitely going to give up goals. And all of a sudden now it's 0-0. We've played 55 minutes. And they're coming forward, Brentford. And it's Visa after Norgard pinched it. Tony's return ball is poor and lazy almost. And it was a real mistake by Ivan Toney. And then it's cleared away by Manchester City. They need to change it up a little bit. And then Pep is acting as cheerleader. He's trying to get them to start singing. His hands are above his head. He's clapping them. He's waving them in the air. Raise the volume, he said. We need you now to try and lift our game. I wonder what's happening down at Portman Road. It's half-time for Ian Abrahams.
2-3, Rotherham 1. Tom Eaves gave Rotherham an early lead, but 2 goals from Wes Burns and 1 from Kiefer Moore have Town in total control here. Half-time, Ipswich 3, Rotherham 1.
You were about to tell us, Stuart Pearce, about what you think they could do differently.
Well, for me, the most important thing for City at this moment is not to concede a goal, because this task will get treble tougher if they end up doing that, with Brentford holding on to something. The other side of that is it's just a personnel situation, Sam, as we know. He's going to have to reach to the bench, and hopefully different dynamic of different players will change and give them that goal that they crave at the moment.
I don't think he wants to use Kevin De Bruyne tonight.
No, I wouldn't be surprised if that is the case. In an ideal world, the team you start with is the team you finish with, potentially, or just rest a couple, and you've got goals in front. Listen, that's utopia football. It's not the real world.
He doesn't like making substitutions. He actually has made the fewest Premier League substitutions in the division this season. Alvarez to take the free kick. They have won a opportunity, a set piece, high up inside opposition territory. Ayer has given away the free kick, and Alvarez is going to send it into the centre. Neil Maupay about to come on for Brentford, but here is the free kick, and Silva has now taken over kicker duties towards the back post, and it's headed by Rodri. There was a collision between Roeslav and Akanji. Akanji says he was pulled. Roeslav says that he was being fumbled with, and 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, and the referee says play on, and Pep again walks away, muttering under his breath, rubbing his nose, and then shaking his head, and then going to sit down frustratedly. And Ake has gone out to warm up away to our left-hand side. I've seen quite a lot of the substitutes for Manchester City warm up tonight, but Kevin De Bruyne has not been one of them.
No, you're right. As I say, it's interesting the fact that he hasn't gone to warm up at all. I wonder whether he's been given information. Look, we are certainly not going to use you before the X amount of minutes. I don't know.
That ball upfield towards Rodri, and there's a free kick that was given. Doku is about to come on now. He's in front of us, just going through his final little warm-up before he comes onto the field of play. Be interesting to see if it's a straight swap for Oscar Bob on this near touchline.
You would fully expect it to be, I think.
Here is Diaz striding forward with the ball at his feet. Again, can they crack this Brentford's safe? They can't at this moment in time find a way through, and again they come down that right hand side, and it's Alvarez who runs into a bit of trouble. I'd be surprised actually if it was Julian Alvarez who came off. Stuart, he hasn't really managed to live up to expectation today. In fact, for someone who started a lot of games of football, he did well when Haaland was out of the team, but since Haaland's come back in the team, he sort of almost hasn't found his role.
No, you're right. As I say, he's not caught the eye at all, and he's not done too much, I would say, in the game, but I still feel as though he's got the opportunity to score a goal.
Here's Haaland, always the opportunity to score a goal. Grabs it inside the area. The ball goes out of play about 10 yards down the touchline, and Pep Guardiola goes running down there. There was a ball boy within a yard of it, but he wasn't relying on him. He went down there in his thick black roll neck jumper and grey slacks to grab it and get City on the front foot once again. And they move forward towards the edge of the penalty area, again being frustrated by this resolute Brentford backline, obdurate and unyielding, as Diaz moves forward, nudges it to Oscar Bob. He then moves up to the edge of the area and finds Rodri. Into Bob again, lovely quick feet to get past one challenge, and then he almost outfoxed himself and it was cleared away. And Diaz wins it high up, and then he collides with Visser. And the referee took his time, and then it's given a free kick to Manchester City.
Once again, the referee's reacted on the player rolling around on the floor rather than what he actually sees with his own eyes, I think.
You think that was 50-50?
Yeah.
Is he going to book him for that?
He has booked him for it.
Dear.
I mean, two players, the ball was bouncing up around groin height. Both players have got their legs up and gone for the ball. One player stayed on his feet, the other one rolled around on the floor, and the referee subsequently gives the foul the way he sees the reaction, I think.
Free kick for Manchester City. Doku still waiting to come off on this near side. And it's going to be Silva who drips the ball over the top of the defence. Oh no, he's gone what? Oh my word, what has he done? He's kicked it straight out of play.
Well, exactly what happened there. Bernardo's on the ball. Alvarez is out wide. He looks over to his manager. His manager says, come over here. He comes inside, and then Bernardo plays the ball where he was. So Pep's got to take some responsibility for that ball going out of play.
There you go, Pep. It's your fault this time. Stop having to go at everybody else. Oscar Bob off. And on comes Jeremy Doku, wearing 11. Of course, there's no Jack Grealish because he's got a groin injury at this moment in time. Let City have a great squad. It has depth, it has variety. They can attack you in so many ways. And when the blend's not quite right, they can make a change. They can switch to suit the circumstances. They haven't named an unchanged side in 72 Premier League games dating back to March 2022. Here is Rodri. Moving up down the right-hand side to Alvarez, who gets to the edge of the penalty area, releases Walker down the side. He gets to the byline, clips it back, up high into the air. Jurgensen heads it away. 62 minutes on the clock. Akanji moves forward, plays it down the left. He looks up, tries to nudge it out to the wide left position. It's collected by Doku, and then given to Akanji. Akanji back infield, and then Rodri stretching, pokes it through the middle of the penalty area, and Aya manages to clear.
Yeah, as you say, I think you used a great word there. They've got variety, and in Doku, he is a total different variety to what they've got on. He can go past one or two players easily.
Yes, he certainly is. Here is Haaland winning the ball out wide and turning it back infield and looking for the return ball, and it almost came his way. Alvarez didn't react to the ball that was slid down the side of the penalty area by Rodri, and then Reguilon tries to fire it against him, and he's sticking to his task well, the Spaniard. He's then fouled by Alvarez. The free kick is given. The City fans getting frustrated. Well, they're not used to this here. 0-0, 63 minutes gone. Having dropped points on Saturday, surely they aren't going to drop points again. But it is Manchester City 0, Brentford 0 on Talksport with Now. Don't forget, with Now you can stream the Sky Sports action contract free with a Now membership. Search Now Sports.
Well, I've got to agree with the City fans there. I'm not sure that was a free kick, but once again, whoever ends up on the floor gets a free kick. And we wonder why players throw themselves to the ground.
the assistant was very close to it, wasn't he, as well? He was on top of it.
He was very close.
Free kick by Flecken was sent upfield. Here is Neil Maupay, and I'm sure he would absolutely revel in causing problems for Pep Guardiola and his team tonight. He's come out into the technical area, and Thomas Frank is standing next to him, and he's waiting for the ball to go out of play so he can make his entrance. Stage right. Here is Akanji under pressure from Onyeka and from Visa. It goes back to Ederson, and he sends it long and high upfield. The knockdown by Haaland reaches Foden. He's poked to the far side, is intercepted by Reguilon, and then it's worked out wide to Ivan Toney on halfway, who sends it infield, but it was behind Yano and picked up by Akanji, and they quickly want to move it forward now, and the City fans getting frustrated that it wasn't sent out wide quicker. It has now gone to Doku, takes it out of the sky well, faces up. Jorgensen comes back to Bernardo Silva, who clips it to the far post. It's over Haaland's head. Reguilon's going to get this and turn and fire it, but he's giving it back to John Stones. A free kick has been given against Haaland inside the penalty area, and the City fans don't know quite what for. Ben Mee has gone down. He's holding something and he's wriggling around. He doesn't look comfortable. Haaland can't believe it. There's a wry smile on his face. Ball came in from Bernardo Silva, left-hand side. Haaland went up. Well, his elbow did go in the back of Ben Mee's head. So I think that's probably where the infringement took place.
See, Mee's done exactly what any good defender would do. He's held his ground, which has blocked the run of Haaland. And Haaland's done what any good centre-forward would do, saying, if you're going to take me ground, you're going to feel a bit of pain. So I think, for me, there's no book in there. Good defending, good forward play.
But it is a free kick that's been given, and Maupay, has he come on yet? Have they made that substitution yet? They're still making it. He's going to put a bib back on now. And they're waiting to find out whether Ben Mee is going to be okay before they make this substitution. Some more delays. Just wait, he says. Just hold. We're going to see what happens with Ben Mee, and then you can go back on, he says to Neil Maupay. Anyway. I mean, you would expect at some point, Brentford are not going to keep a clean sheet, are they? 65 minutes on the clock, they're being peppered. It can't happen. They've lost 10 of their last 13 league games. They've kept just one clean sheet in that period and conceded 29 goals across those matches. Since the first game of that spell in November, they've lost more top-flight matches than any other team. It's definitely a spell that needs arresting, but you wouldn't expect them to do so here, would you?
I'll leave that hanging, all right, for another 25 minutes or so.
Rob Edwards is here tonight, keeping an eye on Manchester City ahead of their game in the FA Cup next week. He's part of our commentary game tomorrow because he's going to be taking charge of Luton away at Liverpool. Another 7:30 kickoff live on Talksport. 67 on the clock. Rodri gets hold of the ball and travels upfield with it in Manchester City blue. He runs into a sea of red and white jerseys and then has to shift it onto the left. Doku tries to steer the ball into the boxes, attempt at getting into the area, deflects off Norgan and goes through to his goalkeeper, and they'll waste a few more precious seconds.
I'll tell you what Brentford have done in this half, which they didn't do in the other. Both of the strikers have dropped much deeper, I think, this half than they did in the first half. In the first half, they were sort of half-cocked, half up the pitch, and that enabled the counter-attack. This half, not so much. They're too deep, I think.
A yellow card coming out here. Ivan Toney for an arm into the face of Diaz, I think it was. And still Maupay is waiting to go. Yeah, he went up with his left arm. It went straight into the chops of Ruben Diaz. They weren't allowed to take that free kick quickly. So the change is now going to take place, and Yohan Wissa is coming off and Neil Maupay is coming on.
It's a strange one, that. I think if you're going to book that one, Ivan Toney, and he's just demonstrating to the referee you physically can't jump with your hands by your side, you've probably got to book Haaland previously with the elbow on Ben Mee.
Wissa comes off on the near side. A standing ovation from the Brentford supporters, the hardy Brentford bunch that have come up here and followed their team tonight, and it's not really fruitful coming to be a Brentford away fan, that trek from Hounslow on a midweek basis is not particularly fruitful for them. They usually end up losing out as the ball goes down the left-hand side with Alvarez, and it bounces off the defender and goes behind for a corner. They've won just 1 of their last 6 away from home. They've won just 10 away points all season, although they did beat Wolves recently. Here's the corner, which Alvarez will take. And Fleckham being surrounded inside his penalty area. It goes into the box. He punches it clear. Stopped by Bernardo Silva. Set up for Phil Foden. And he almost hits the top tier of the stand away to our left-hand side. The family stand, the West stand away to our left.
Well, Foden just demonstrating there that he's better off with a ball up near his groin, hitting volleys, than he is on the floor. And just got under that and skewed it. But to be fair to the Brentford backline, squeezed out and put a lot of pressure on the strike.
Ruoslav was all over Erling Haaland there. He was grabbing him round the waist. He was pulling him down. He had half a shirt in his left hand, the other half in his right hand. How does he get away with that? Ruoslav down this right-hand side, trying to get the cross in towards the near post. And Diaz half-headers the ball away and then allows it to bounce inside the box. That's criminal. It then goes into the air, and then Ivan Toney and Onyeka actually on this near side are penalised for being too physical. And it's a free kick as Cambridge get pegged back by Bolton. 1-1. Paris Magoma with a goal 7 minutes into the second half. Still 0-0 here.
Yeah, and as you said, we thought that sort of VAR on cameras would outlaw sort of free kicks and penalties for corners, but as you rightly pointed out there was a lot of grappling going on.
Maybe Mads Roerslev has a similar sort of opinion on clothing to you. He wants a freebie, so he's trying to take it off of Erling Haaland's back.
That was such a cheap shot. It was pathetic, honestly.
All right, OK, let's go back to the dam. Here is Yano onto Mope, trying to send it towards Ivan Toney, and then it's cleared away towards halfway, and a chance to release Haaland. A good ball forward by Alvarez, and the defender slipped over Ayer, and Haaland is away, and he's finished it brilliantly. Ivan Toney just looks on in admiration inside the other half of the field. That's a proper counter-attack. The Norwegian giant went storming through, and as the Brentford players fell to the floor, Erling Haaland went racing through to the edge of the box, drew the goalkeeper and slipped it into the bottom corner. Ayer is blushing, Brentford are bruised, and Manchester City are finally in front, 1-0.
Well, Ayer was like a dog on lino there, he really was. He was trying to get some purchase under his feet, but that is what the fear factor of Haaland does to you, I think, you know. It puts panic into defenders, and he drove through, and to be quite honest with you, he never even looked like missing Sam, did he? He just drove through onto his left-hand side, opened his body up and killed it round the goalkeeper. Great counter-attack finish.
The sight of Ivan Toney standing at the other end of the field with his hands on his knees watching as Haaland raced away was a brilliant picture. Two big strikers, two big players for their team. Haaland hasn't been able to influence much during the course of the night, but give him a sniff like that, make one fatal mistake, one fatal slip, and you've got problems. Here's Toney at the other end, trying to get Brentford back on terms. He's got it on the edge of the area. He takes it wide of the defender, then strikes down the middle of the goal. It's just over the top.
I'll tell you what, Ivan Toney can find a pass. Sometimes I think he should be a little bit more selfish when he's got the ball at his feet, but he tried to feed Mope through there. It didn't come off, and on the resulting turn and strike, just went over the crossbar.
Well, Erling Haaland has now completed the full set. He has scored against every Premier League team he has faced. He was only missing Brentford. And now he has collected that particular sticker.
He hasn't even been here 2 years yet.
Oh, that's a mistake by Flecken on the edge of the area. He went to try and swipe it clear when Haaland was bearing down on him, and he air kicked the ball. And it went between his legs, and he had to turn around and quickly scurry back. He's had some mishaps in his time. He once conceded a goal when playing in the lower leagues in Germany because he went for a drink in his goal and he didn't realise the team were on the attack. That's a video that's worth watching every now and again. Onyeka tries to win the ball in midfield. Peps dancing around, pulling at his jumper, throwing himself into the air and looking like he's practicing some sort of break-dance routine as he gets frustrated and upset down in front of us. Currently Manchester City 1, Brentford 0, and for the latest odds you can head to Ladbrokes, where right now you can get Manchester City to win at 14-1 on, Brentford to win 70-1, the draw 9-1, all thanks to Ladbrokes, 18+, begambleaware.org. Poor old Mark Flecken, every time he gets the ball now he's going to get some attention.
The game's changed now, Sam, and it's opened up the game. Brentford are more expansive, certainly City are finding a bit more space.
It is fascinating watching Pep Guardiola on the touchline, isn't it? He was talking earlier about the incident with Mopé and Walker the last time these two met, and saying, I can't have a go at anyone for winding anyone up or being mouthy. I was the worst when I was younger. Here's Roeslev on this right-hand side, moving the ball towards Akanji, gets it onto his right foot, it's blocked, and then Doku will bring it clear. And he races clear, upfield. Pep saying to him, come on, keep coming, you've got loads of green grass to run into, and he is running into that green grass. He's now midway inside Brentford territory. He turns it back, he's got support now. And he finds Rodri and then Bernardo Silva in the centre. Pep's still not happy. Yeah, apparently, he said yesterday, I got more yellow cards than any other player during my time at Barcelona. Most of it was for mouthing off and moaning. And we all sat there, we were completely shocked. I mean, because he doesn't really sort of show signs of being full of dissent or being moany at all, does he? I mean, not now. He's mild-mannered and meek. Akanji. On to Bernardo Silva. Back to Akanji once again. Manchester City have their goal. 15 minutes from time. They lead by a goal to nil. He has now faced 21 sides in the Premier League, Erling Haaland. He's scored against all 21 of them. It's pretty damn impressive and shows what a useful asset he has been to this team. And just the way he moved when that ball was released, and then, Aya almost sort of wilting under the heat of Haaland.
It was almost sheer panic that makes defenders go to ground like that. I'm sure if it was any other player, they would have just stayed on their feet and just jockeyed potentially. But Haaland, like in the Everton game, when he bears down on you, you can see the intent.
Well, wasn't similar because it was slightly different action, but the Branthwaite situation in that Everton game was similar, wasn't it? He sort of just crumbled in the face of him. Foden thinks he was fouled. The referee says he wasn't. Tony's been sent away by Mopé. Foden still sitting on his backside in the Brentford half of the field as the Bees come forward. They play it infield towards Reguilon. Reguilon now lifting the ball into the back of Rodri, and then that attack loses its momentum and Reguilon has to go back to the halfway line, and they almost give it to Haaland, and Aya, under pressure from Haaland again, just sticks it into the first row of the stand. And here come the changes. Janelt coming off, Jensen coming on. And with King Lewis Potter coming onto the field of play, it's going to be Sergi Reguilon who comes off.
Yeah, as I say, looking to juggle the pack at the moment, get that enthusiasm that they had against Liverpool on Saturday and lifted the tempo slightly in the second half, but hopefully to make a defensive situation a little bit stronger. If you're Thomas Frank now, Sam, you've shipped a lot of cheap goals at the weekend, and he'll be disappointed that they've ended up a slip has cost a goal again.
Well, it's happened so many times to this Brentford team that actually they've played okay, had a moment of concentration lapse, and then they've lost the game. Goal at Plymouth, John Roda.
It's Plymouth 0, West Brom 1. The goal coming just after the hour mark. Cedric Kipre on the end of a corner from the right, turning it in from close range. Argyle 0, West Brom 1.
And that's the response that West Brom have come up with after defeat to Southampton on Friday Night Live on Talksport 2. And they lead at this moment in time. Elsewhere in the Championship, Ipswich 3-1 up. Southampton 2-0 down. And Blackburn Cardiff at The Cardiff City Stadium is 0-0 at this moment in time. Here it's 1-0 to Manchester City. They took their time before breaking through. 72 long minutes. It took them time against Everton as well recently. And they certainly haven't racked up the goals that many people thought that they might tonight. And they are still behind in the Premier League top scorer list after having been taken over by Liverpool and Arsenal at the weekend. This is Diaz. Doku, near touchline, smothered by Onyeka and Roslav, and then he pushes the ball back into his own half, and the referee allows play on, says no foul. Doku gets back up again, and it's with Rodri, and then out towards the far side, and it's with Stones.
Game just taking a slight breather now. City looking for that next opportunity.
Bernardo Silva might provide it. He takes the ball in the centre circle and elegantly swirls the ball into the path of Akanji, who joins the attack left side, moving into the box at pace, and then stops, gives it to Alvarez. He pokes it wide. Rodri tries to flick it over the top. Kyle Walker is there. Haaland! And stoops and heads it home, but the offside flag is up against Kyle Walker, who's looking over his shoulder at the assistant, and VAR will check it.
I'll tell you what, it was an absolute superb ball to Walker, and Walker's run, whether it was just too early or not, I don't know, but once again he's headed one back.
Well, it was sent back. He's made the run. Oh, I tell you what, it's so tight. It really is. If the linesman's got that right from there, that is some eyesight.
That's how good they are.
He's been a Specsavers.
That's how good they are at their job.
Yeah, I mean,
that is incredible.
I think that the assistants are amazing. The things they spot that you would never be able to get that timing right unless you had years of changing, years of training. That has been chalked off or not re-allowed. So the referee's on-field call has been confirmed. 1-0 to City.
I've got to say, great ball once again. Haaland, Johnny on the spot, just there to head it in.
Damsgaard and Saman Ghoddos about to come on for Brentford. 10 minutes to go here on Talksport. And I wonder what this does to Manchester City. You know, they're having to eke out results at this moment in time. They had to work really hard for the Everton result. They didn't get over the line against Chelsea. They had to fight back to get an equaliser. I don't know what on earth Matthias Jensen has seen there, but he's decided from the left side of the pitch on the far side, with 3 or 4 red and white shirts going forward, that his best opportunity would be to try and elevate the ball towards goal. Was that an attempted cross? Was it a shot? What was it?
That was a cross without any whip on it. You know, I think he's tried to put one in just behind this City back line. That's where you would think it should have been aimed for.
Good news for Bolton. They've taken the lead. They've come from behind to lead by 2-1. Carlos Gomez with the goal. And Bolton today in need of a victory in order to go up into the automatic places. They need a decent win tonight in League One.
I think Walker's just caught Mopé there, I believe.
There's going to be a yellow card for Kyle Walker over on the far side. I thought he should have had a penalty last week, and then those two coming to blows again, Mopé and Kyle Walker. I think he probably enjoyed that, Kyle Walker. I thought he probably worth taking a booking for after those two fell out the other week down at the G-Tech Community Stadium. 2 changes about to take place for Brentford, and Kovacic about to come on for Manchester City in the next few moments. Ball sent towards the edge of the City box. It's Rodri who heads it into the air. It drops, and then it's cleared away by City, who can race till halfway now. Foden looking to try and get the ball forward quickly, but then hesitates, waits, and keeps them in possession rather than risking giving it away. And it goes back into a central area, and slowly City come forward again with just 7 minutes and 20 seconds left on the big clock. And Kovacic, who's just come back from an injury, about to come into midfield. Talksport on a Tuesday night. Remember, the 4th test between India and England gets underway live on Talksport 2 Friday morning. Ranchi is the destination. Must-win game for England. I mean, they weren't very good with a bat in the second innings, were they? In Rajkot at the weekend. That was pretty embarrassing, really. India lead the 5-match series by 2-1. Coverage starts 3:30 Friday morning. And certainly entertaining. David Lloyd was in terrific form last week. Here is Haaland out towards the far side, the right. He's fed the ball into the path of Walker. Walker sends it back to Bernardo Silva. Silva across into the middle of the Brentford half, and Akanji sizing up an effort. Well, was certainly encouraged to do so by the supporters, and then just hesitated and waited. Didn't bother hitting it in the end. They have to force the issue here. Manchester City. And you just keep possession and keep it ticking over and wait for the opportunity to arise. Haaland down the side of the penalty area and then gets another shot in on goal, which is saved by the goalkeeper. And it remains 1-0 with 6 minutes remaining. Well, what do Manchester City take from this? Because it hasn't been a brilliant performance from them, and they have struggled to break down Brentford, but they've eventually done it. Does that show character, good mentality, or was it just a bit of fortune that allowed them in?
Listen, I think at this stage of the season, or any stage really, they're in this title race where all that matters on 90 minutes is 3 points, and if they come away with 3 points, they'll be absolutely delighted. But you've got to give some form of credit to Brentford as well. I think they've set up really well and been difficult to break down. And also, as well, they've offered this counter-attack threat that's always been there and a problem for Manchester City.
Well, City about to keep a clean sheet tonight, and if they do, Edison will equal Joe Hart's record of Premier League clean sheets for Manchester City. It will be his 109th this evening. You are listening to Manchester City 1, Brentford 0 on Talksport with Enterprise. Rent a car, whatever the mission, home or away. Enterprise helps you 120,000 people every day. And it's 1-0 to Manchester City. And Rodri travels backwards under pressure from Jensen. Can they see this one over the line and get all 3 points? And that will do them the world of good in the title race. Take them up into second position above Arsenal and just behind Liverpool. And all square on games tonight at the end of the play here. Liverpool play an extra game tomorrow, but they don't play at the weekend in the Premier League because of their Carabao Cup final live on Talksport. Then another goal down at Portman Road. Ian Abrahams.
Just after the hour mark, Ipswich 3, Rotherham 2, ball in from the left-hand side. Haladki's come and not got any of it and been bundled over by his own players. And Hakeem Adofin from 12 yards out has put the ball in the back of the net. Ipswich 3, Rotherham 2.
Half an hour still to go in that game. There's just a few minutes to go in this one here. 86 on the clock, and it's 1-0 to Manchester City, probing forward, trying to get in towards the penalty area. Stones is there, Doku. Again, everybody in red and white is plunged back towards their own goal, and then Alvarez gives it away cheaply again, but Doku rescues him. Alvarez right side, back to Rodri, then Bernardo Silva. Can you excuse Thomas Frank of any blame for this run that they've been on? 9 defeats in 11 it's going to be now for Brentford. Obviously there's mitigating circumstances. They've missed Tony for half of that run in particular, but they've had no Visa, he's been away, and Burmo's been injured. Rico Henry's been out for almost all of the season. They've got big players that have been missing this campaign. Or does he have to take some responsibility at some point for what has been a terrible run?
On what I've seen, I've seen a snapshot of the last 2 games where I've covered Brentford live, and they don't look like a team devoid of confidence to me, if I'm being quite honest with you. And there's so many players out for them. They've missed so many players for varying reasons. I think there's not much the manager could have done about that, personally.
He certainly set them up in the right way tonight. The plan just hasn't worked because of one slip.
Exactly that. That's what's divided the teams at the moment.
At the moment, we do have 2.5 minutes of normal time to play on Talksport as Walsall go 3-0 up against Morecambe. Here is Akanji, infield to Alvarez. Alvarez trying to dart down the left-hand side, gives it to Foden. Foden on the edge of the box now, weaving his way into a shooting position, and it's pushed over the top by Flecken. It was a brilliant run from Foden, and it's applauded by Pep Guardiola. And he rifled that ball towards the far side of the goal, and Flecken had to make a save. It was unconventional, actually, because he's almost sort of dived over it and had to readjust Flecken. It goes out for a corner. Here's the change then. And Onyeka coming off, Godos coming on, Damsgaard coming on, and Roeslav coming off for the final few minutes here. And Kovacic is coming on as well, and he's replacing Julian Alvarez for the final few minutes of this game.
Got to say, Foden unloaded that. He really caught that. Absolutely magnificent. And as I say, the goalkeeper, once again, he's done well tonight, the goalkeeper.
Yeah, he's done well in both games against Manchester City. He's got much better. He was criticised earlier in the campaign for conceding too many goals. His save ratio was amongst the lowest in the league. But he's got better and better and more confident as time has gone on. Thomas Frank was talking about that last week. And PSV have just scored an equaliser at home to Borussia Dortmund in the Champions League. Luke de Jong, 56 gone there. PSV 1, Borussia Dortmund 1 in the Champions League last 16, in which Arsenal will compete tomorrow away in Porto. And we'll have commentary of that on Talksport too. Here is Diaz to the left. And Akanji, Doku back into midfield. And then all the way back to Ruben Diaz, who funnels it to his goalkeeper Ederson. And he will keep possession deep inside his own half. Launched high into the air, looking to work it wide. Jorgensen heads it on. It's collected by Bernardo Silva. He turns under pressure. Couldn't play it back to his own goalkeeper because Ivan Toney was there. Godos tried to rob him. Foden nipped in. Kovacic releases Doku. And now they're the wrong side of the Brentford defence. And Doku is racing forward. He just slows up because he doesn't need to get himself into a problem. He goes infield. And we've got 10 seconds of normal time. And Manchester City are seeing this out. They're about to go second. March is going to be a defining month. But only if they keep winning before then. Their fixtures coming up look like they're going to be brutal, especially as soon as we move into March. Bournemouth away before then, Luton in the FA Cup before then Manchester United, Copenhagen in the Champions League, Liverpool away, Brighton away, Arsenal at home and Villa at home. Rather you than me, Pep.
If anyone can handle it, it's him.
6 minutes of added time at the end of the 90. Is that enough time for Brentford to get back into the game? Or are they going to be punished again? Another slip and Foden has moved away and he's run into the penalty area. He's rounded the goalkeeper and he's missed the target. Well, and I think maybe the goalkeeper might have got a touch.
The goalie's done brilliant, Sam. Make no mistake about that. He's gone to ground, but he's got a solid hand, at least one on the ball, as Foden's pulled his foot back. Foden's done brilliant to get in that position. But it's at this stage, when the ball goes to the wrong side of the post, you appreciate Haaland.
I mean, the goalkeeper's done so well to come out and time his intervention at speed to get his hands on the ball and not contact the player in that moment. And it's just done enough to steer it wide of the post.
Yeah, he's had a really good night, Flecken, tonight, I think. You know, made some crucial saves, dealt with crosses where he was under pressure as well. And Foden, his build-up play was magnificent, and it really was. And then just come to the final pass into the net, just thwarted by the goalkeeper.
Just the 1-0 to Manchester City. So much good work from Brentford undone by one slip, one mistake. But this is this league, this is the Premier League. It can be brutal, it can be unkind. And this is Manchester City. Don't give them a chance. Foden sucks in Jorgensen, moves down the left, gets into the penalty area. He's got Kovacic there and Haaland, who shoots down the middle of the goal, and it's saved by Flecken.
Well, brilliant play once again by Foden. Really good play, getting turned on the half-cocked, drove down the wing, and then he's pulled it back, picked out Haaland brilliantly, and Haaland just couldn't get enough power or pace on the ball.
Kick long upfield towards Toney by Flecken. Is there one last chance, one last sting from the bees that's possible? Doku waits to release the ball, finds Foden. He then turns it into Haaland, whose heavy touch takes it wide of goal. And out of play and away for a goal kick away to our left-hand side. Again, Pep Guardiola bellows. He uses his arms to gesticulate exactly where he wants to position his players on the field of play.
Yeah, good opportunity to make it two there. Doku didn't release Foden quickly enough and just delayed, and that delay meant that Foden was more advanced than he wanted to be instead of running onto the ball, and Haaland was more advanced as well.
31 points from a possible 39 at home this season, unbeaten 35 home games in all competitions. It'll be their best run in 6 years here. And West Bromwich Albion are enjoying their time down at home park, John Roeder.
Yeah, they've got a second goal. Substitute Mikey Johnson on for just a few minutes. Picked up the ball wide on the left. Just kept going. A terrific right foot finish. It's Argyle 0, West Brom 2.
Thank you very much. I just got a text message from Alex Crook, who's informed us of some breaking news. And that breaking news that has just come through in the last few minutes is that the completion of Sir Jim Ratcliffe's investment in Manchester United. He is now the co-owner of that club. Here's Doku into the penalty area, weaving past two defenders to get into the 6-yard box, but then running into traffic and clearing it away. There are some quotes that are doing the rounds from Sir Jim Ratcliffe in the last few minutes. To become co-owner of Manchester United, a great honour and comes with great responsibility. This marks the completion of the transaction, but just the beginning of our journey to take Manchester United back to the top of English, European and world football. There'll be more on that on the Sports Bar, I'm sure, and after this game with Adrian before 10. Here's Tony inside the area for Brentford, looking for one last throw of the dice. Cleared away by Akanji in the 95th minute of the game. Remember, there are 6 to be added. It's going to be a long throw. And Matthias Jensen, capable of the catapult, comes out towards this near side. Surely Brentford aren't going to steal a point, are they? Surely they're not going to sting once again late on at the Etihad Stadium. Manchester City 1, Brentford 0. 60 seconds of stoppage time remain. He takes a walk back off the camber, approaches the touchline, throws the ball in. Haaland heads it away and out for a corner kick in the final minute of stoppage time. Stuart Pearce.
Well, I think if Flecken can get his head on this and score a goal, he's gone into the opposition's box, it will cap a sensational goal game for him.
Flecken up to throw the dice right at the end of this game. Brentford trailing by a goal to 0. Desperately want something from their endeavours here at the Etihad Stadium. They've worked hard. They've been pierced once. Can they get one back in stoppage time? Into the near post, the corner comes. It's out. It's sent back in by Damsgaard towards the far post. Flecken tries to pull the trigger inside the box, swipes through the ball, misses it completely and takes Rodri's legs away and gets a yellow card.
To be fair, it was a very poor swing at the ball by Flecken. And he's making his way back to his penalty box now.
Yeah, it was a wild swipe at a loose ball inside the box. He completely missed it. Damsgaard have recycled the ball. It was nodded back down by Walker. He approached it, but didn't see Rodri coming from his blind side. Went to whack at the ball. He thought his name was going to be up in lights there for a second. Ended up nearly taking Rodri's lights out instead. Well, the Manchester City fans have finally found their voice again. They believe they're going to win the game now.
And it's been tough for them, Sam. They've had to go to the wire.
But you didn't think they were going to miss fire twice, did you? Manchester City beat Brentford to go up to second and remind Liverpool and Arsenal that they aren't going to let go of their iron grip on this Premier League just that easily. Many expected to win this game in hand and win it well, but they may be encouraged, actually, those rivals, by the tepid manner of it. They had a lot of the ball, they had a lot of chances, a lot of half chances, but Brentford made it incredibly difficult for them tonight, and they relied on a victory given to them by Erling Haaland and a slip from Christopher Ajer, which allowed him to escape from halfway and tuck home a counter-attacking goal. It means they go up into second in the Premier League, and they are breathing down the neck of Liverpool once again. Liverpool play tomorrow. That's live on Talksport. So was this, and it's finished. Manchester City 1, Brentford 0.
Wow, well, that at the end from the City fans was more relief than anything. But I think between now and the end of the season, those fans have got to get used to the fact that teams are going to come here and basically not play. They're just going to try and kill football, kill off City, and try to spoil their way to either a 0-0 or an on-the-break 1-0 win, something like that. And that's going to be the tactic for a lot of teams. And City have got to learn how to deal with it if they are to win a 4th successive title in the Premier League. They've got the job done tonight thanks to a slip and a finish from Erling Haaland. They are second, a point behind Liverpool, a point ahead of Arsenal, and all three have now played 25 games. And Stuart Pearce, what a title race we have. Liverpool on 57, City on 56, Arsenal on 55. This is juicy.
It's a brilliant title race. To be fair, from the start of the season, I think it's been a pretty tasty one. Tottenham thrown into the mix as well, Villa knocking on the door. But certainly they've been pushed all the way tonight, City. I've got to say, I think Brentford come here. Yes, they set up to be hard to beat, but they played well on the counter-attack. They swept up the pitch when they had to. The two strikers, whoever it is on the pitch, Visser or Mopé, played their part in supporting Tony, and I think they're a real threat right to the end of the game. I really do. But City have always got that ability to get a goal from somewhere, and it's that man Haaland, as I say, drove through and created panic, I think, in defenders' minds, and it was a slip, and Thomas Frank will be ruined. Another defensive error, if you like. Listen, he might well have gone past him if he'd stood on his feet, who knows, but it was some finish.
Yeah, it was some finish. There was a slip from Ayer, and he was so frustrated with himself, and his teammates were frustrated as well. It can happen, and when you put yourself under that relentless pressure, then over the course of 90 odd minutes, 96 minutes as we've seen tonight, Stuart, there's a chance that there will be a slip, at least one, and a chance that a team as good as Manchester City, with a striker as good as Erling Haaland, will capitalise on that. That's the kind of risk you take when you play the way Brentford have played here tonight.
Yeah, is it a risk or is it not? Who knows? The bottom line is it was a very enjoyable game. The game was decided by a centre-forward running, and when he went in on the goalkeeper, and the goalkeeper's had a very, very good night, I thought, there was never any doubt in his body language that ball was going to end up in the net.
I think Brentford are better than that. I know we're talking about the way they've played here, and they've come to the home of the champions, European and world and English champions. I get that. But do you not think they are a little bit better than that? Just kind of trying to spoil the game and sitting back?
No.
No? That's all they can do against City?
I think that's all they're allowed to do. City dominate the football for 60-70% of the time, so you can't do too much on and beyond that. So you're dealing on scraps. The scraps, if they were just humping it clear and never getting hold of the ball, I would have turned around and agreed with you. Because they weren't, they were defending stoutly, but when they turned it over, that ball went into Tony, went into Visser, went into Mopé, and they built from it and created a couple of opportunities where a miscontrol, that was probably in the first half, Visser going in on the goalkeeper was a better option than Haaland.
Onyeka had a great chance as well when he dragged the ball upfield, didn't he? He had a great opportunity, and his rapid speed actually in the first half did some damage as well. I thought they had a threat tonight, actually, Brentford, and I wasn't expecting them to play as well as they did.
No, I think in the beating they took, second half beating against Liverpool, in two games against the two top teams in the league as they stand at present, I think for a game and a half they've been in it. I really do. I think for 90 minutes they were in the game today, and certainly for 45 minutes against Liverpool they were. It's just they fell apart in the second half. So in two games against two tough teams, I think Thomas Frank will come into a press conference and say, you know what, I'm quite proud of my team.
So City fans and the players as well, and Pep Guardiola, the frustrations that they were showing during the 90 plus minutes, can you understand why they were so frustrated then?
City fans turn up nowadays and listen to all the hype that goes around and think, our team are so good, we should win 3 and 4-0 every time. Football doesn't work like that. You know, teams come here, as I mentioned during commentary, teams come here and make it harder for Manchester City than they probably do any teams in the league because of their reputation. And Brentford done exactly that tonight.
Did City look like champions to you, Stuart Pearce?
I know they're champions. They've got that, you know, the trophy cabinet suggests they're champions. Yes, they are. Champions win games when they haven't played as well as they can do or finished as well as they can do. That's what they've done tonight.
They did. Erling Haaland with the goal to take City second in the table. A couple more goals to tell you about.